There's no time.
Lost. Tides.
The time is
13
o'clock.
Hey, it's us again. It's Saturday night. I gotta tell you though, unfortunately, I can't get totally shit-faced drunk on this.
No, she's got to do another show.
Because I have to do another live radio show.
Yeah.
For Into the Into the Paranormal with a B in the middle? I don't get it. But yeah, so...
Trying to get around them copyrights.
I guess so. But yeah, I have to do a 2-hour live radio show with them at like 10 p.m. Eastern time. Like
it's
from
radio?
10 to midnight. As far as I know, I don't think I'm going to be like visible on it. I kind of hope not, but we'll see.
Because maybe you guys can look for it after this show's over if you wanted to see that one. Maybe you could, post a link or something.
I did. I put a link to where it all was and everything like that. So like I said, I'm gonna really try and not get. I slept nice and late this morning, and I'm gonna try not to get super hammered.
Yeah. And
try to leave myself a little gap in between so I can go over my notes again, because I have to talk about like some unsolved murders from my Faceless Villain series.
I slept good last night. I don't know what it was. Woke up and it was nearly noon. You were still sleeping?
I wasn't still sleeping. I was awake. I woke up at 10 something. Yeah. But Pookie had curled up right next to me, and I couldn't really get out of the bed, and she was too cute like to move her.
Yeah.
So I just kind of laid there awake.
I'm telling you, man, my sleeping's been fucked up. My fucking mental attitude's been fucked up. Just energy level fucked up. That's the symptoms of low T, man. I'm gonna go make a fucking. I think I'm gonna make a fucking consultation with one of them fucking hormone shacks. Get myself fucking jacked up on fucking testosterone. Says I want the testosterone of 4 14-year-old boys. Put that shit in there. See what that shit does to
and
me.
put some blood of virgins in there.
Blood of virgins in there. Helps. Yeah. Replace my bone marrow with a fucking bone marrow of fucking pureed fucking fetuses and shit. Use all that high-tech shit. High-tech vampirism shit that you guys are doing. The shit that you guys do to these rich people. You know? Hiding out on these islands. I know it's not normal what you guys are doing. Some of them bitches are in their fucking 80s and they're still running around trying to make money.
Yeah, trying to get all their blood replaced.
Yeah, trying to make money and trying to fucking...
you have all the money, they'll do whatever. I don't know how much of it like actually works or not, but I guess
they think it works.
I guess they figure doctors are kind of like, hey, if you want to cough up some money, I'll do whatever you want.
Evidently, some of these rich people are getting blood transfusions that come out. The blood comes out of teenagers going through puberty, which I can see how that might work as real high quality blood of your type. With some kind of, with fucking hormones in it, you know what I mean? Like, you know, the women get girl blood and the guys get boy blood, and I imagine it'd be like fucking TRT.
Girl blood and boy blood.
Yeah, to try to fucking, you know what I mean? They're doing Countess Bathory shit. That's what they're trying to do.
DJ Maniac said Tom just wants a pineal gland to chew on.
I want what? I want a what? I couldn't understand what you said.
A pineal gland.
Pineal gland, yeah. Shit. Fucking hormones are fucking key, man. That's how that shit works.
Yeah, you've been talking about that all day.
I know. I'm telling you. I did some of that LGD 4033 fucking SARMs, fucking selective androgen receptor modulators. That's just fucking gray market stuff. I'm not saying don't do that. Don't do that, people. But for about a month, you'll feel fucking great, and then you'll get real fucking sleepy and have to come off of it. And you'll be bloated like a fucking like that girl that ate that blueberry candy. Really you'll feel like that after about a month. But you feel good for a while.
Bee's Nest says a vial of testosterone in Mexico is $150. Hit me up.
Okay, all right, that's what I need, dude. You just gave it away because now you get in trouble with the feds for sending that shit in the fucking mail. That's all I need. I need a vial of that fucking shit. I'll shoot it myself. I don't even need the blood. I don't even need the blood work. I'll just fucking light dose. Yeah. I'll be able to feel how much I need. Light dose. Yeah. Fucking. But yeah, getting it here, you can get it through Russia, but fucking ATF would be watching you. They'll probably show up and they go, "Where's them vials?" Fucking lock you up. I ain't fucking around with that shit. I'm just gonna go get the shit from a doctor around here. Maybe I ought to get it from Dr. Matt. So, Dr. Matt, how much you want for a fucking prescription of that shit? I really don't need somebody to do my blood work, or I know, and I'm not gonna do anything exotic, just basic shit.
And Victor very helpfully said, "I can whip you up some baby batter for $20."
All right, so
Louis asked, "When are we going to be on Conspiranormal again?" I don't know, actually.
When they need us.
Whenever they usually call us every now and then.
Yeah, we went to fucking Red Lobster today. Jenny said, "Fuck it." They said, "Let's go out and get something to eat before the fucking show." And we hadn't had seafood in a long time.
Yeah, we couldn't decide where to go. We're like scrolling through my phone, going like, "Man, I don't know what I want."
They had, I wanted the dine in fucking experience. You know what I mean? A lot of places they're being fucking pussies about that still. But one place that had the dine in experience was Red Lobster. It says, "Man, yeah, we're gonna check that shit out."
Well, yeah, we haven't had seafood in a long time.
I got the most expensive thing that they had. What was that?
That's surf and turf.
Surf and turf, the deluxe surf and turf, ultimate surf and turf. That's what it's called. Man, this shit was good. It had lobster tail, a filet mignon, and some bacon rep scallops on a skewer, fully loaded baked potato, Caesar salad.
I can't believe you.
That was a $40 meal, man.
I can't believe you ate all that.
I ate all that shit. It was good. It was kind of small, man. The tail was kind of small. I'm a little spoiled, but the tail was kind of small. The fillet was kind of small, but the quality was good. It really wasn't worth the $40, I don't think. I think what you got was a better deal.
Even though I couldn't even eat half of it. Yeah. Well, I hadn't eaten for like 24 hours, so I was like, wow, I'm really hungry and I really, really want some seafood. And so I got one of that. I got that platter where you can like choose 2 or 3 things and then you get a couple sides. So I got a salad, I got a baked potato. I didn't get a loaded baked potato. I just got butter on it.
Yeah.
And a little bit of sour cream. But yeah, so I got like some broiled scallops and then I got like some coconut shrimp because that's my favorite. And then I got some fish. I ate the scallops and most of the potato and one of the shrimp. And then I was just like, I can't eat anymore.
Yeah.
I had to put it all in a box. So I'm going to have to eat the rest of it tomorrow.
I went in there and saw that for $20 they had fish and chips on there. I'm going to check them fish and chips next time.
I've heard they were good.
Yeah.
I haven't been there in years and years.
I don't know if the portions good or not. Captain D's, they give you a pretty big portion.
Yeah, so that's like Captain D's. We go there sometimes too. If you want fried seafood, and they have like fried green tomatoes and like southern kind of shit.
Yeah, southern stuff. Yeah, but
their portions are so big too that it's like you get a regular platter there and I can't eat it.
I trust Captain D's though. They got black people cooking back there. You go there, just everybody works there is black. You go, this is a southern fucking restaurant here.
It is, yeah. Like
this
I said,
is southern here. Yeah, and it's fucking sweet tea and everything. They
have all.
They know
all
just
the
what they're
shit.
doing. It's not corporate. It's not just fucking.
I mean, it is.
Cisco.
It's a chain, but
it's a chain, but it's not like Cisco stuff where it's just frozen stuff and them do it. They're battering it and deep frying it. They're making it. They're seasoning it. I could tell.
They got okra and stuff too, don't they?
Okra and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, like fried okra. We haven't been there in a while, but like I said, it's only something I can do every now and then because as much as like I said, we went to Red Lobster today. My thing was $25, but I could only eat about half of it, maybe not even half. Right. And then so I had to put the rest of it in a box and like bring it home. And even the portion that I ate, my stomach is still upset because I was like, way too much food.
So Red Lobster got a commercial and fucking Captain D's got a commercial.
Beastness said Captain D's still around. I mean, we still have one.
It is here.
It's about 6-7 miles up the road. We have one.
You're not talking about Long John Silver's or anything, or actually Captain D's used to be pretty bad, didn't it? Wasn't there
I don't know. I don't
wasn't
think
there another Captain D's? This one it doesn't taste and look like a corporate chain. It looks more kind of like, you can tell it's a chain, but it doesn't. It's not like going to McDonald's or something. You know what I mean? They're actually hand battering that the seafood and frying it.
Yeah.
I can tell it's not pre-frozen shit. Might be, but I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
I imagine the fish comes in frozen and then they just.
But I don't think it's pre-battered.
Yeah, it might not be.
It looked like it was. looked like they battered it after it was thawed.
Yeah.
And same with the shrimp. So I think they're hand battering.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think so. Which, you know.
Yeah, Red Mage was saying Long John Silver is still around too. Yeah, I think what's happened, I think we have one just around here somewhere, but isn't it like half of a Taco Bell? It's like half Taco Bell and half Long John Silver's, I think. Because like all of those are...
I get them confused sometimes. Long John Silver's was pretty bad. It was always pretty bad.
I actually used to... You know what I used to like back in the old days? Arthur Treacher.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they have that anymore. The last time I saw one of those was a few years ago in an airport. It used to be like a sit-down restaurant when I was a kid, and I used to really, really like it.
Long John Silver's had a damn corporate, generic taste to it. You can tell. All right. Our Captain D's here, it tastes like a mom and pop place, to me.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, we go there every now and then.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's so much food, and it's like
it's a lot of food,
so fattening.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's going to be fattening.
But
it's all
yeah,
deep fried.
I know, but it's so good.
Yeah.
And, you know.
It's always pretty busy.
Yeah.
Nothing but just fucking work crews and rednecks and shit. I can go in there and eat hush puppies and shit. Mm-hmm. That's the way it is.
BeesNet says, I think we still have a half A&W and half Long John Silver's. Yeah, maybe it is A&W. I can't remember. I thought it was Taco Bell. I could be remembering.
No, it's sometimes Taco Bell. It's Taco
Bell.
But
well, because like I said, I think they're all owned by the same company. You know.
We tried to go to one. Remember, it was a Taco Bell, half and half, and it was closed for some reason.
Or the Long John Silver's was closed, but the Taco Bell was still open.
Yeah, and I was like, "Fuck that!"
Because we went through the drive-through and we were like, "Hey man, I want some fried fish," and they're like, "Nope, Long John Silver's side's closed."
Let's see who's here. Zach's in. T's in. What's up, T? T, did you see Blackula? Or maybe she already saw that one because we were talking about it last time.
Yeah, I thought she said she did.
Soph's in. Michael. Bee's Nest. Everybody's here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got near 40 people just piling in. Some people talking about the show. Trey Simmons, he said these two topics are some of his favorites here.
I still can't believe that we haven't covered Flight 19. Well, somebody recommended that we do the Ghost Blimp, which I didn't actually really... I guess I had kind of heard about a long time ago, but I had forgotten about it. And then I was like, well, shit, that's like a really cool case. And then I was like, well, in case it doesn't go, I don't think we can get a whole show out of that. So I said, well, let's talk about Flight 19 because that's like really mysterious. And I don't think we ever covered that. I don't think we really covered a lot of Bermuda Triangle stuff, did we?
Michael Schaefer said that they found Flight 19 in Mars orbit a few years ago. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Well, didn't they made a reference to Flight 19 in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, did they not?
Well, yeah, they returned the planes, and then later on the crew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not really what happened.
They're asking if I still have lead in my pencil. Yeah, I got lead in the pencil. Might need to sharpen that pencil up a little bit. No, it's just, vial of testosterone's a fucking 150 up in Mexico. Damn.
Yeah.
You probably don't even need a prescription over there either. That would simplify things a lot.
Zach says, I think Long John Silver's is the nastiest place I've ate at.
Yeah, it's not that good.
It was okay when I was a kid.
T said she saw Blackula tons. Didn't see the Dr. Sleep director's cut yet. They're making you pay for the whole damn movie. Yeah. All right. This is what I did. I bought the Blu-ray, a used Blu-ray off of. I think it was eBay. It was either eBay or it was Amazon. I bought a used one in excellent condition. That came with the Blu-ray and the DVD. I think for $7 delivered, and that was cheaper than the rental. The Amazon
there you
rental.
go.
So I just bought it, a hard copy of it, a used one, and it was good.
Yeah. Louis says no prescription needed in Mexico for anything.
Damn.
And Bee's Nest said it's a 400 milliliter vial too.
Damn it. Dude, I ain't gonna get you in trouble, man. I'm gonna get you in trouble.
You have to meet up somewhere.
That's probably a month's worth, 2 months worth, depending on what the concentration is.
You're gonna have to do it all on the DL.
Actually, 150. The concentration is probably pretty high. It's probably about 3 months worth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate the way this little thing keeps going around. It makes me really nervous. It says I have an excellent connection, so. And we did the whole show Wednesday night without it dropping out, right?
Yeah.
We were on for like 5 hours and it didn't drop out.
Yeah.
We'll see though. Zach said, I legit finished a meal there and feared I was going to have a stroke like Peter Griffin after he ate 40 hamburgers.
Yeah. All right, because we got two, is there any shout outs we need to do?
I don't think so.
Okay.
We don't have any new patrons or anything like that.
There's nothing else. I don't think there's anything else that we had to mention. We should just go ahead and get in the show because you got to do another show after this one.
Yeah.
And we don't want it to run too long.
Yeah, because otherwise I'll be
Otherwise, you fucking have to just jump out of the show.
I'll be drunk and worn out, and then I'll have to, I want to kind of go through my notes again.
Right.
For that before I, do whatever.
I know of both of these cases. Matter of fact,
That's good.
The Ghost Blimp, I think, happened near my house in Long Beach. I think they happened off the coast of Long Beach, didn't it?
Oh, thanks, Victor.
Near where I was born.
It was San Francisco Bay.
San Francisco Bay. Okay, so it's up north. All right.
Yeah.
I knew it was on the coast of California, but I thought it might have been Long Beach, or something, or what else? Yeah, I thought it was Long Beach, but okay.
Yeah, it was right around the Golden Gate Bridge, actually.
Thanks, Victor.
Thank you, Victor.
Yep. Just shout out to him.
Beast Nest says it's safe to ship. I mailed some to my brother.
Yeah. All right, man. We'll talk about it.
We're not real master criminals on here.
Yeah. No, I got to look more into it and see what how it's classified. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know fucking what the classification is. Fucking have that bitch sent to me, and then all of a sudden federal agents fucking come jumping through the damn window trying to get some good PR for the fucking Waco team and shit. They jump in, fucking machine gun me down because I'm trying to fucking, you know what I mean? Fucking reverse some fucking hormonal biological aging. They want to kill a motherfucker over it. No, you can't look good. So, oh shit.
Oh shit.
Yeah, shit. I gotta see how much they want for it here and how to get it here.
Hey, look, we have a Michael Schaefer with 2 Fs and a Michael Schaefer with 1 F. That's pretty weird.
Okay.
What are the odds?
I don't know.
That we would have 2 listeners that have the same name except slightly different.
They're talking to each other.
Yeah. Well, that would be like if we had somebody else that, with my name that turned up in the thing.
Schaefer said they'll club me like a baby seal.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Victor says Bee's Nest can swallow it and then go use the bathroom at your house.
Oh, shit.
That's a pretty good idea.
And he has to do this every couple months. So you gotta have a fucking lifetime, reliable lifetime supply of it. I gotta. There's a place right up the fucking road here that does it. Shit, what they call it? It's some kind of men's health fucking clinic. Rebuild your life men's health clinic, some shit like that. And they have all those good drugs up there that they'll give to men. And yeah,
they should do a mobile one called the Man Van.
Yeah, I just want to know whether or not you got to go up there fucking twice a week to get shots. You know what I mean? I don't want to do that, and then I want to see what the price is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can shoot it myself. I'm trained for it. I can give myself IVs. Give all kinds of drugs to fucking horses, thoroughbreds. I should have got on that fucking Equipose when it was around. Yeah, we had this good shit at the barn called Equipose. Equipose is fucking like horse testosterone. If a horse ever went lame or got injured or anything like that, you can shoot them up with that and fucking they'd be healed up in about 2 days. It was good shit. It'd fuck a man up though. I've heard it'd make you big. Get big real quick.
You're gonna start winning.
Make you fucking crazy too. Make it crazy, fuck up your cholesterol.
Well, you don't need that.
Yeah. Well, if you're on it too long, you just take therapeutic doses of it.
Michael Schaefer with 1 F.
There were women in the horse industry that were taking it at real fucking light therapeutic doses to make the ass big. See, it would make your legs and your ass fucking huge.
Yeah.
Not but well, you know what I mean. Not build up a lot of muscle. Build up a lot of
and
muscle.
And also possibly grow a tail.
What's it? No. It's just an anabolic. Yeah. Fucking shoot that shit and then do a few squats a day. Fucking ride horses and fucking sling hay bales around them girls' asses, get fucking huge on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael Schaefer with 1F just said, we've both been here for a while. I think this is the first time you guys have noticed. But I suspect that they're the same person, though. Look, because Michael Schaefer with 1F says, Michael Schaefer with 2Fs is an esteemed fellow and a genius. I don't know what the hell kind of chicanery and shenanigans are going on in the chat. Do a show about women and horses. That might kind of be interesting. You know how teenage girls and horses are.
Yeah, there's some kind of sexual thing going on there.
It's pretty weird. I mean, it's not universal, but it is pretty common. I remember being I collected all the, horse statues and shit like that.
T's jumping in with the fucking ultimate black girl question. What happened to them just playing old squats? Next she's going to ask me about her hair and shit. Look. Okay. White dudes don't care about your hair, man. They kind of like the big fucking afros and shit. Don't worry about the fucking plaits and don't worry about the fucking extensions, all right? And when it comes to the fucking squats, I'm telling you, this is an old trick. A lot of these bodybuilder girls know all about it. They're fucking with hormones, of different kinds of hormones. One of them is just anabolics and certain testosterone type compounds. It's a bunch of different ones. No. If you've got the compound correct and the dosage correct and the right kind of workout, what the hell?
Who the hell keeps calling?
I don't know.
Piss off.
If you've got everything right, you get a fucking fat, fucking huge ass. It's just supernatural. I'll show you.
Oh, he's gonna show me.
I'm gonna show you. I'll show you individual girls. Yeah.
We are going to get to the topic.
We're going to get to the topic. But people are talking about ass. Okay,
Victor's telling me to write down Mr. Hands. Mr. Hands? Do a show about Mr. Hands. I don't know. I'll write down Mr. Hands.
What's Mr. Hands?
I don't know. We'll see. Tom will show us porn now.
No, it's not porn. Okay.
Come on, there's like dead time.
That's what anabolics will do to a woman. Okay, those are legs. You can't get legs any other way than anabolics. I'll show it from the back.
Thank you, Zach. I dare you to drink for you and Jenny. I want to see how smashed you can get. Yeah, Tom.
What's that? No.
He wants you to drink for both of us so you can get really super hammerish.
Same woman. Oh shit.
Zach says that's terrifying.
Same girl. That's anabolics. There's not an ounce of fat in that. That's all muscle. It's ridiculous. Supernatural shit.
Yeah.
Supernatural.
Michael Schaefer says hard pass.
Yeah.
Fourth thrower down said, I got no problem with a sturdy girl.
Sturdy. Yeah. Her name is Bakar Nabiva.
Sturdy.
Yeah, Bakar.
Where else on a show about ghost blimps?
Those are two ghost blimps, one right next to each other. All right, let's go ahead and start this show off. I think everybody's here. I think they're ready for the show.
Yeah. And
okay.
like I said,
I've been fucking around too much.
Yeah, you've been fucking
around too much.
You're fucking around. You know something about these two cases.
Yeah,
right?
I know about this case.
So that's pretty good. So
yeah.
You can help me out if I get. Although I have notes over here. All right. So we're going back to August 16th, 1942. It was a Sunday. Now, there's a U.S. Navy blimp called L8 or Love 8. And it was going to take off from Treasure Island in San Francisco Bay. And its job on this day, just like most of its other jobs on other days, was to look for enemy submarines. Now, at this point, in August of 1942, the U.S. had only entered World War II about 9 months previously, but there had already been a lot of incidents where Japanese subs had sunk a bunch of Allied ships off of the west coast of the United States. So there were a lot of blimp patrols going around looking for enemy subs, Japanese submarines, in the Pacific off the coast of California. So, so basically that's kind of what was going on. So this particular blimp was actually carrying 2 325-pound depth charge bombs, just in case they saw some submarines that shouldn't be there. They also had a .30 caliber machine gun and 300 rounds of ammunition. So if they saw a submarine sneaking around out there off the Pacific coast, then they could take them out.
Yeah, what year was this again?
1942.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
World War II.
Yeah, coastal
Yes.
defense.
Yep, that's what it was.
Yeah.
So the blimp takes off the L-8 with a 2-man crew, which I guess was standard procedure. It was Lieutenant Ernest DeWitt Cody and Ensign Charles Ellis Adams. Both were Navy veterans and had apparently exemplary service records. Now, interestingly, so Cody was the younger guy. He was only 32. He had graduated from Annapolis. He was senior aviator of the Airship Patrol Squadron. And he was apparently considered one of the most capable pilots of lighter-than-air transport, or LTA as they called it. Although he didn't have as much flight time in them as the other guy had. He didn't get to be a naval airship aviator until December of 1941. So he'd only been flying them for about 9 months at the point that this incident occurred. Now, interestingly, the other guy, Adams, was 11 years older and was actually kind of a lot more, was a lot less experienced. Now, the pilot of the blimp, Cody, had only 700 and wait a minute. Okay, so the guy that was the pilot of the blimp had less flight time than the guy that was like the second in command.
Yeah.
That's what it seemed like. And like the guy that was the pilot was younger. That's what I meant to say. So the pilot only had 756 hours of blimp flight time, and Adams, the other guy, had over 2,000 hours of flight time. And the other guy had also actually flown an L-8 before. He had actually taken it to, they were delivering stuff to the USS Hornet. And so he had to kind of like hover over the aircraft carrier or whatever. And they were like, hold it steady over there while they were lowering stuff down onto the aircraft carrier.
Yeah, to make things clear, these observation blimps that these guys were using, they weren't very big. We're not talking about the Hindenburg, which is a gigantic superliner. These things were actually pretty small.
Well, this was essentially a Goodyear blimp. Yeah. It was made for that before the war, and then it was commandeered.
And they weren't that big. They were the size of maybe like a couple boxcars.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 or 5 of them maybe. I think that's more or less what... I don't remember them being very big. They look kind of big in the air.
Yeah.
But they're nothing compared to, like I said, like the Hindenburg or something.
Right.
They're pretty small.
Yeah. And it's weird because, speaking of the Hindenburg, the Adams had actually received... he got decorated by the German government for helping Hindenburg passengers during that, when that crashed. So he was over there during that. So like I said, he actually had a lot more flight time in blimps than the other guy had. But they had both flown them before, you know what I mean? So it's not like they didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah. And all these lighter than air aircraft, dirigibles, fucking blimps, Zeppelins, that's another way to call it. They were all super dangerous. They sucked. You really didn't want to fly one. Just to say. That's why they don't use them much anymore.
Yeah.
Very dangerous.
Zach asked if we'd done a show on the Hindenburg. I don't think we have we?
Nothing really mysterious about it.
True. It's like this case is interesting because...
Because, this is kind of like something that would happen at sea.
It's
like,
because it's kind of weird and like
Right.
it's disappearances.
They were
and
dangerous,
don't-
but this one there isn't really a clear explanation for what happened with this.
Yeah,
I have suspicions.
I mean, something happened, obviously, but it just seems like no one really knows what exactly it was.
They were too big. They're lighter than air. They're real susceptible to climate, bad weather. That's the main problems with these things.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they were being suspended by gases that were flammable.
Yeah.
And
hence Hindenburg.
yeah, inside the Zeppelin itself, it wasn't one big old open thing. It was like a bunch of cells. You could shoot bullets through them. And they would hold gas because it would only pop certain cells. They had ways. So that really wasn't the danger. The danger was getting caught in storms and, lightning strikes, stuff like that.
Yeah. But yeah, so like I said, even though these weren't, but they were like experienced. One was less experienced than the other, but they had actually like flown these types of airships before. Ensign Adams, matter of fact, had been flying them for 20 years, and he'd served aboard like 3 different, blimps. And as I said, he was also helped get some of the people off the Hindenburg when that exploded. So they both knew what they were doing. So this particular day, this particular flight, was called Flight 101. And what they were supposed to do was they were supposed to take off from Treasure Island. They were supposed to fly to the Farallon Islands, which are 30 miles west of San Francisco. Then they're supposed to go north to Point Reyes, and then south to Montara Beach, and then returning to Treasure Island. So they're going out and around. Now, this patrol was supposed to take 4 hours. They were starting out about 6 in the morning, so they were expected back between 10 and 10:30 in the morning. Flight went off without a hitch. The, weather was fine. Visibility was decent. So no one really thought anything about it because, like I said, it was just a very, very routine patrol. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this particular blimp was made by Goodyear and had been used as part of their like advertising from before. You know what I mean? Just like the Goodyear blimp they have nowadays. And then when World War II came along, a lot of them were commissioned for the war. And matter of fact, after this incident happened, after the war was over, this particular blimp was actually put back into service by Goodyear. And I think it went until like even at some sporting events and shit like that, like up until the 1980s before it was retired. I think it's in a museum in Pensacola now, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so this is just your regular Goodyear blimp essentially. Now this particular airship, the L8, it had done over 1,000 trips and had required nothing out of the ordinary, just the regular maintenance, and was supposedly a good airship, no problems with it, anything like that. It had also had an inspection 4 days prior to this incident occurring and seemed to be in perfect working order. Again, that is going to be significant. So 6:03 a.m. Thank you, Ken, just because. That's always the
Appreciate
best
it, bro.
reason. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. That's gonna help pay for my fucking testosterone. It'll wake me up, man. Jenny could tell you, I'm just getting slowed down like an old man. Just all negative.
Yeah.
Negative, yeah.
Yeah, you need to snap out of that.
Snap out of being negative. Yeah.
Drink more. You'll be all
yeah,
right.
I'll be fine. I gotta get another drink here in a minute. I'm okay. I'll tell you. I'll let you run this show and I'll get some more of this tequila.
I mean, it's only 5:30.
I got Hornitos tonight, man. Fucking,
yeah, he got the good shit.
It's the spicy shit.
It's the spicy shit.
Yeah.
All right. So Adams and Cody take off about 6:03 a.m. in the L8. Winds light and variable, 4 knots per hour. Weather slightly overcast, but visibility was good, out to 3 to 5 miles. And Cody reported he could even see the Golden Gate Bridge in the distance, which, if you're from San Francisco, you can't always say that because, like I said, it's fucking foggy all the time. But today, not so much. It was pretty visible. So, as I said, they had to go on a patrol. It was a 50-mile radius around San Francisco. Now, so what ends up happening is that they pass over the Golden Gate Bridge and then turn toward the southwest, toward the Farallon Islands. Now, about an hour and a half into the patrol, which was about 7:38 a.m., there was, he radioed in, Cody did, and said that they were 4 miles east of the Farallon Islands. Now, 4 minutes after that, they got, there was another radio message. This one said, "Am investigating suspicious oil slick. Stand by." Now, again, this wasn't strange, but an oil slick could indicate, obviously, an enemy submarine somewhere in the vicinity. So that was one of the things that they were trained to look out for. If you saw an oil slick on the water, you had to go check it out because there might be an enemy submarine underneath the waves. So what they ended up doing is they kind of lowered 2 of their kind of like smoke flares. They're like lights, you know. So they lowered those down so they could get a better look at whatever it was that was going on under the water. These were lowered at 7:42 a.m., the flares. So they start scrutinizing the area. Now, another nearby ship, a Liberty ship called the Albert Gallatin, saw the flares coming down from the blimp. Now, the crew of this ship, since they figured, hey, maybe they found a submarine, so they sounded an alarm and, you know, got all the gunners, you know, to their positions and everything like that. Now, there was also another ship in the area, which was a fishing trawler called the Daisy Gray. And they knew the same thing. They were kind of like, oh shit, like a submarine's about to get bombed. We need to get the fuck out of here. So they pulled up their nets and, you know, started to kind of go back toward shore. But interestingly, the blimp didn't drop any bombs. So L8, the blimp, it just kind of circled around where this supposed oil slick was for about an hour. The blimp was apparently close enough to the fishing ship, the trawler, that the first mate could look through his binoculars and he could see the 2 guys inside the blimp, inside the gondola, right? He could see it in there. He'd see them in there. So everything seemed normal at this point. Like I said, they see an oil slick, they put lights down because maybe it's an enemy sub, and then they're just kind of circling around, so apparently they don't see us. They don't see anything because they're not dropping any bombs or anything like that. So now the crew of the Daisy Gray, which was the fishing trawler, and the Albert Gallatin, which was the other ship, they were watching the blimp through binoculars because they were like, I wonder what's going on over there. So the L8 is circling at 200 to 300 feet. At one point, it lowers to about 30 feet above the surface of the water, as though they were looking more closely at something. And this went on for quite a while. Then, a little after 9 in the morning, the blimp dropped ballast, rose up, and headed back towards San Francisco. Now, as I said, no one on the ships or anything like that thought anything was weird because they were used to seeing blimps patrolling this area all the time. And the crews of the other ships probably just like, oh, well, they thought they saw a submarine and there wasn't one. So they're just continuing their patrol. So they didn't think anything was strange. But this was pretty much the last normal thing that happened that day. Like once the ship started heading back towards San Francisco. Now, as I mentioned, the last radio message that Cody had sent was at 7:42 a.m. And this was right before, like when he was saying about the oil slick and we're lowering the flares and blah, blah, blah. They didn't contact anyone after that on the radio. Now, Wing Control tried to call them, like try to, rise them on the radio, but couldn't get them. Couldn't get anybody to answer. Now, apparently the squadron headquarters didn't find out about the blimp being like non-responsive or there being radio silence until 8:20 a.m. But again, no one thought this was all that weird because it wasn't that unusual to lose radio contact with the blimps, like during routine patrols. And they figured, well, it'll come back at some point or whatever. They also weren't worried because the two guys, there was plenty of fuel on the blimp, so they weren't going to run out or anything like that. But they started to think it was a little weird around 8:50. So it was like I said, almost 9 o'clock. Because they were like, look, we can't raise them. It's like, we don't know where they are. So they sent a couple of float planes out to look for the blimp and kind of sent out a general alert for other aircraft in the area. Hey, if you see where this blimp is, just let us know what's going on with it because we can't raise anybody on the radio. Now, the next sighting of the blimp wasn't for quite a while. The next one came, it was 10:49 a.m. Now, this was a pilot of a Pan American Clipper, and he said that he saw the blimp over the Golden Gate Bridge. Now, he said it doesn't look like anything's wrong with it. It looks like it's, still under human control, and it's operating normally, and it's moving back toward the base where it's supposed to be going, even though, like I said, it was a little later than they were expecting it back, but it didn't look like there was anything the matter with it at this point. About 10 minutes later, one of the float planes, the pilot of one of the float planes, saw the blimp 3 miles west of Salada Beach, and it was rising up through the sky. And it was about 2,000 feet. It went up like 2,000 feet, and then it came back down and kind of like disappeared into the clouds. Now, the pilot thought this was a little weird because even though it still looked like it was under human power, they said 2,000 feet of altitude, that's close to the blimp's pressure height. That's where the valves would open and vent helium. You know what I mean? It's not really supposed to, go up that high. But it went up that high, but then it came back down.
That's because it vented its helium.
Yeah. So he thought that was a little bit unusual, but he said it didn't look like it was, messed up or anything like that.
See, the higher something would go under this circumstances, the more it would expand. So they don't want it to rupture all the fucking cells or all the bladders inside the damn Zeppelin in the blimp. So it would vent if it went up to that altitude. So I already got warning bells going off. They saw it gaining altitude to its maximum safe ceiling and then dropping. It was unmanned. There's nobody in there. That's what happened.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's just, it's really, really weird.
It sounds like there was no one in control of that. Maybe nobody was in that Zeppelin at this point. And then it blew off kind of the overpressure valves and vented its helium, and then it made a descent back to the Earth.
Yeah.
That's in weather conditions. There's wind blowing too. These things aren't moving very fast, and they're kind of at the mercy of the winds and climate. So they could cover a large distance without having anybody in them. Okay, go ahead. I know how this thing was found. I remember how they found this thing. And, the audience doesn't know what's going on yet. But go ahead and tell them.
Yeah.
Right.
So, now again, a little bit later, another person saw the blimp, a P-38 pilot.
Yeah. And
he saw it near Mile Rock. Again, noticed nothing amiss. It didn't seem to be adrift. It still seemed to be under human power, human control. He assumed it was heading back to Treasure Island, which was where the base was, so he didn't, again, think of anything strange. But then, a couple minutes after that, there was a dude, he was a seaman, but he was off duty. His name was Richard Quam, and he was actually going to spend the day at the beach, and he was driving along the highway between San Mateo and San Francisco, and he saw the blimp in the distance. Now, at this point, he noticed that the blimp was bent in the middle. And he really quick, whipped out his camera and took a picture of it, which, like I said, you can still see if you Google it. It does look like it's just kind of deflated a bit in the middle. So then 11:15 a.m., which was 5 hours after the blimp had left the base in the morning, the blimp comes toward the shore on Ocean Beach in San Francisco. Now, at this point, there was someone on the beach, and they noticed that the blimp was hanging like 50 feet offshore, and its motors were not running. You couldn't hear anything. And the bag, like the blimp portion of it was sagging, and it was only about 50 feet above the water. Now, at this point, the blimp touched down on the sand a little bit, and then started moving inland, and then the gondola hit kind of a hill, and the engine kind of got clogged with leaves and dirt and stuff, and bent the propellers, like when it hit this little hill. Interestingly, too, when it hit the hill, one of the depth charges came loose and kind of rolled down the hill, like on this beach or whatever. Now, after that, because the depth charge weighed 325 pounds, since the weight came off the blimp, the blimp kind of went up again and kind of went out of sight for a little while. Now... it's
going through a crash landing phase.
Yeah, and so then there were a bunch of golfers at the Olympic Club, and they could see the blimp, and they stopped to watch it. Now, they saw the depth charge come off, and they kind of freaked out, because they were like, is that shit going to blow up? Or are we all going to get blown up or whatever? But that wasn't going to happen. It's fine. It actually, because those depth charges, they can only be detonated by like water pressure, right? So if it drops on land, it's not going to do anything.
Well, there's going to be a fuse.
Yeah.
You drop it, and it's going to go through an arming sequence, and then, you know what I mean, the fuse is going to be probably set for a certain depth. There's a procedure. Just dropping a damn depth charge isn't, coming off of its mount isn't enough to set it off.
Right.
Yeah,
So, but, they didn't know that. So they were just kind of like, well, shit. And then they were kind of like freaking out about it.
Anything that you sling underneath a wing of an aircraft or on an aircraft, it's got a whole safety procedure. You're not running around with something that's just ready to damn blow.
Well, yeah, because that would be intensely stupid to do.
Even back in World War II, they knew how to safely carry fucking bombs.
Yeah. But yeah, so interestingly though, one of the golfers later reported that he saw a parachute coming off of the blimp while it was still offshore. I have reason to doubt this, that maybe he was seeing something else, which I'll get into.
Were they equipped with parachutes?
Yes.
They were? Okay.
But, spoiler alert, later when they looked, all the parachutes were still on board.
Okay,
so obviously...
That's not what it was.
So he must have seen something else.
Yeah.
Now,
Or he made that shit up.
Or he made it up. I don't know. So, but like I said, there might have been something else falling off of there that he saw that he mistook for.
It's going to be the evidence inside and and all the procedures they went through. That's how you're going to figure out what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, interestingly, though, at this point, after, and again, I'm not sure how much I believe this account. I'm not saying that people are lying. I'm just saying that maybe they're mistaken or they saw it at a different time. There was this other kid that was looking at, because you have to think when this blimp was going through this whole like crash procedure that it was going through, there was like hundreds, thousands of people like out on the beach fishing. It was a Sunday. So like, out golfing, people driving around like on the highway and shit. Like, so it's not like this happened and no one was around to see it. A whole bunch of people saw it. So they have a whole bunch of different witnesses to it. So now there was this one kid who was watching it through his binoculars, and he said, I believe even while the blimp was kind of limping along, that he still saw two guys inside the gondola, because you can see in there, like you can see people moving around, but I'm not sure if he saw them at this stage or not.
He probably saw the seats or something.
Maybe, I'm not real sure. So, like I said, there's thousands of people around watching this thing because they're like, hey, look, it's crashing. So everybody is all excited about it.
This was not a violent crash. And these guys had the training and the sound mind. They would, if this was some kind of, if it was crashing beyond their control, the way they're describing this damn crash, they just would have rode it out. They'd have been all right.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, I mean, even when they hit the hill, it wasn't like, whoosh, it was kind of like...
Yeah, no, they left that gondola a long time before that thing ever crashed. They left it before it fucking gained all the altitude and blew off all that extra gas.
Yeah. Tila said it would be freaky to see that happening. It would be, I would think. Well, evidently it was, because a lot of people were just kind of like, what the fuck?
They weren't in there for a long time. And I think I kind of know what happened. But go ahead.
Okay. So, so I guess there were like some dudes from like the fire department of Daly City. And they were right nearby because they were burning some brush. So they came and ran to help. And like the cops came and all this other kind of stuff. And like I said, there's thousands of people standing around watching this kind of stuff, like on the beach and everything. And, so by this point, the blimp is kind of going down toward Daly City, 2 blocks south of San Francisco, the San Francisco County line. It kind of went over some people's roofs. There was a woman named Ethel Appleton, and she heard the drag line going across her roof. Also, there was another dude who he was actually waxing his car in his front driveway, and I think the blimp ended up just like falling on his car. He was okay though, like he ran inside and stuff like that. So about 11:30 in the morning, the blimp finally came to a stop in the middle of the 400 block of Bellevue Avenue. Now, it wasn't a super soft landing. It actually did hit a utility pole and kind of broke off a cross arm of the pole. And what ended up happening too was that the tail of the blimp went into the electrical wires. So like a whole bunch of sparks went off. Now at this point, you know, obviously the fuel supply could have ignited. Luckily it did not. But the blimp portion had been punctured, and it just kind of went and kind of slid to the ground, tail first, slowly deflating on top of that dude's car. So obviously once it's come to a stop and they've determined that it's not going to blow up and everything like that. So their first thought is, well, we have to rescue the crew because they thought that they were still in there. So the guy that was, I think his name was William Morris, and he was a firefighter, and he was kind of the first one, and he rushes up to the gondola and kind of climbs in there. And then he's like, you guys, nobody's in here. Nobody was in there.
Yeah. So
the door was open, but there was nobody in the cabin. The door to the cabin had been latched open. The microphone for the loudspeaker system, which is what they used to talk to like ships, you know, when they were flying around, that was dangling outside of the doorway. But other than that, it didn't look real weird in there.
Well,
now,
yeah.
Then they said, well, maybe they got like up in the, you know, in the envelope somehow. So they slashed that open, and then they were looking for the crew inside there. But the 2 dudes were completely gone. So basically some of the authorities came, they recovered the depth charge and got that out of the way because everybody was freaking out about that.
Can only be one thing. They left the gondola.
Well, obviously.
Yes.
But nobody knows where they went.
They went in the water.
Well, yeah, duh. But I'm just saying nobody ever found them, which is weird.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
So, so basically, this is so strange because no one really knows at what point. I mean, obviously, they both came out of the gondola at some point, and the blimp was flying around without a human pilot for quite a while. But nobody knows why they weren't in the gondola. Nobody knows at what point they left the gondola or for what reason. It's just like a real weird story. Okay, so the blimp was obviously being tracked. Ships saw it, other planes saw it, people on the ground saw it, everything saw it. There were rumors that swirling around that there were still like a half-eaten sandwich and like a warm coffee like still in the gondola.
I know where they're getting that.
That's not true.
They're getting that from that other case that was similar to this, where they found that ship.
The ship with all the
going on its own with all the uneaten food and what happened to them. Actually, it is a similar case, and I think it might have been a similar type of situation.
Yeah.
In the case of that ship, I don't know if you guys, maybe somebody in the comment section might remember the name of that ship and the name of that case.
I remember what one you're talking. We might have talked about it on one, because didn't we do a ghost ship show?
Yeah, ship was found at sea. I don't remember if it was under power or not, because I don't think it was a sailboat, was it?
I can't remember.
I don't think it was a sailing ship. It might have been a steamship or something.
Yeah.
But it was found at sea, fully unmanned, but with uneaten food and just no disturbances at all. But it was trailing a rope.
That's right, yeah.
And one of the...
we did talk about that on the
Ghost
Ghost
it was trailing
Ship
a
show.
rope, and one of the lifeboats was missing. And in the case of that...
But there was nothing wrong with the boat. That's why it was mysterious.
Yeah, and they were carrying a cargo that was some kind of kerosene, wasn't it? Or something impregnated with kerosene, or something that might have potentially been flammable or had some kind of a gas involved in it.
It wasn't the Mary Celeste, no.
No. In that particular case, I think they abandoned ship because they thought they had to, and they were allowing the ship to trail their lifeboat by a rope, and then the rope broke.
Yeah.
That's what I think happened with that one, and crew never found. Ship recovered. Strange ghost ship at sea. Not a bit of damage. With evidently food set at the table.
See, that kind of thing is always way more creepy to me. Because it's like, obviously, if you find a ghost ship and everything's all fucked up in there and it looks like everybody was like, oh shit, something bad happened, we got to get off.
Right.
That's not mysterious. Like, even if they never find the bodies, I'm like, because, everybody probably fell in and sharks ate them or whatever. But whenever you see something like this where it doesn't look like anything's wrong with the ship, it doesn't look like anyone was cognizant of any issues about it, and it just seemed suddenly everyone got up in the middle of dinner and just like fell off the side of the boat.
Yeah,
what
now
the fuck?
I don't know if the food out set at the table was a legend or not, but that was a legend that I think made its way into this case. The whole idea of uneaten sandwiches and shit. That they're trying to tell you the same thing because it's a similar case.
Yeah, I mean that was a rumor that came about even in the
true.
40s. Yeah, they later determined that wasn't true.
I think what happened in the case of that ship, though, is I think they smelled something that they thought was a gas leak, and as a precaution, they went out into the lifeboat to let the gases dissipate. But somehow the rope broke, and the ship left them.
Yeah,
and they couldn't catch up to it ever again. Which meant that they all died of thirst in that dam.
It's a shitty way to go.
Yeah, they all ended up dying of thirst and insanity in that fucking boat. That little dinghy. What do you call it? Lifeboat.
Yeah.
Don't fuck with the ocean. Okay? That's the lesson.
Just don't go on the ocean for any reason.
I'm old infantryman. I like to have the fucking ground. I could even deal with being an aircraft crewman. Back in World War II, the ball turret gunner, they put my little ass in the fucking ball turret.
Your little ass.
Yeah, they put my little ass in the ball turret. Because that's where they put the little ass motherfucker. Put that bitch in the ball turret. It was the worst place to be. Because they had people landing on the ball turret once the fucking hydraulics were shot out. They couldn't land the damn fucking landing gear. Sorry, ball turret, we gotta land.
Yep.
Imagine that. Because there's no way out.
Yep.
Well, in one case, there was no way out because the ball turret fucking was all shot out and they couldn't get him out of it. That motherfucker down in there begging while they were landing on him.
That's
terrible.
Horrible. That's just got to be a horrible fucking way to go.
But what are you going to do?
That's what I mean.
You got all those other guys in the plane.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, at that point, I feel like if you're in the ball turret, you might as well just, like, shoot yourself. Because it'd probably be better than...
You don't have anything except 250s.
I know, that
You can't
sucks.
point them at yourself.
Because it's like, hey, sorry, man.
You think you could have tried to cartwheel it in on one wing, give the guy a damn chance.
Yeah.
But, no, they just landed on that guy. That was during the thick of the damn war, though. Back when life was real cheap. And I don't think those guys knew each other that well in that particular case. But anyway, I'm getting off subject. I think what happened to this blimp was something similar to that. Is there anything else you want to talk about the blimp before I give my... Okay, go ahead and you tell them.
Let me go.
Let's hear their theories.
Let me go into
I don't... Here's the devil in... With this case, the devil is going to be in the details.
Yes.
You have to know what the mission was and what all the procedures were that the crew had to do for this type of mission. Somewhere in those procedures, something went wrong. And somebody ended up outside that damn gondola. And then somebody else, I think, tried to help rescue that dude.
I think that's probably the most...
It was something like that.
Yeah,
What the end result was they were both outside the gondola in the damn water. And they never made it back. You end up in the water at night. A lot of shit could happen to you. Sharks.
It wasn't nighttime. It was
daytime.
It was daytime.
Doesn't matter. Sharks, hypothermia, currents and riptides, a lot of weird shit could happen. And maybe they weren't strong swimmers. We don't know. But maybe you'll know more about the case. Tell us more about the case.
All right. So even though the sandwich and coffee thing was not true, they did, however, find...
so it wasn't true.
I said that like three times.
Right. Well, I'm kind of drunk, man. I'm drinking.
He doesn't listen to anything.
It definitely came
He doesn't listen to anything.
Listen to her. I definitely could tell that they got that from that ship story.
Yeah, probably.
The sandwich thing.
Yeah. But they did find one of the dude's hats just sitting on the flight controls, like just normal. Now, interestingly, the radio was in perfect working order, which is very strange because no one... I mean, if the radio had been working and if something had gone wrong, for example, one of the dudes had fallen out of the gondola, which, like I said, is probably the most likely thing that happened. But why did they not call for help? They weren't that far off the coast. Why did they not answer any of the radio calls that were sent to them? I mean, because their last radio transmission was at 7:42 a.m., right? When they were like, hey, there's an oil slick, we're going to check it out, and we just dropped the flares or whatever.
Louis is pointing out that I'm drinking for 2 tonight. You got that right, Louis.
I'm drinking a little bit too, but I'm going to stop early.
Slow it down,
And he's going to, if he makes another one, he's going to make it super weak.
Yeah.
Or even don't even make an alcoholic one. Maybe just like make something else.
Yeah,
because like I said,
you want to be sober.
I want to be lucid for the next one, so I don't fuck it up too much.
The devil's going to be in the details with this one.
Yeah. So the radio was fine. There was nothing wrong with the radio. Again, very weird. And I don't know why, because like I said, their last radio transmission was at 7:42 a.m. and then the blimp didn't come limping onto the shore until like 11:15. You know what I'm saying? So whatever went on in there. And like I said, some people saw the blimp like right around 9 in the morning and it looked like it was still under human power. And some people said that they still saw the 2 guys in there at that point, but I don't know why they weren't answering the radio. So, all right. So they also found, when they inspected the gondola, they found all 3 of the parachutes were still on board, which means, like I said, that one guy that said he saw somebody jump out in a parachute was mistaken, because all the parachutes were there. The life raft was also still there. Obviously 2 of the smoke bombs were missing, but they knew about that because they said, hey, we're dropping the flares by the oil slick, so that wasn't weird. There was also one of the dudes had a briefcase that had like a lot of, like some classified information and shit like that. That was still in its spot. It was like kind of bolted behind the pilot seat. Nothing unusual there. The engines were completely fine. The ignition switches were on. The instruments and flight controls operating normally. It still had 4 hours of gas in the fuel tanks. And so it didn't look like anything in particular had gone wrong with the blimp itself. Now, there were 3 life jackets on there. Now, 2 of them were missing. However, if you're flying over water, you automatically were supposed to wear the life jacket.
So they had life jackets on.
So they had life jackets on. So they said, so that wouldn't necessarily mean that they had like jumped out and into the water, because you just had your life jacket on.
That was what's called SOP, Standard Operating Procedure.
Yes. So that wasn't
makes
strange.
sense. If you're in an aircraft over fucking sea, you better gonna have your life jacket on, because you're the same as being in a boat.
Yeah.
It's an airship. That's what this fucking is. A Zeppelin was an airship.
Yeah.
So you better have your life preserver on.
Yeah. So they were saying, so that's completely normal, because they're gone. Obviously, the 2 life things would be gone.
Which means that they went into the drink with life preservers on.
Yeah.
Because I know that's where they went.
Well, yeah. Where else would they have gone? Yep. Unless they got kidnapped by aliens or something.
And if they had come out over land, then you'd have found the bodies.
Yeah. Now, there were a couple of anomalies. The one thing that was a little bit weird was that the blimp's batteries were drained. And that part of the fuel supply, even though there was still 4 hours of fuel left, part of the fuel supply had been dumped. Which was something that you would only do if you needed to increase your buoyancy really quickly. So you'd like drop some ballast, so you drop some of your extra fuel. So it didn't really seem like the blimp would have needed to do that, though. So they weren't really sure why the fuel had been dropped like that. What's that?
Hurricane.
Oh,
tornado.
yeah.
Been getting tornado warnings.
Yeah, we've been getting tornado
Look,
warnings.
I can't stop a fucking tornado. I don't really need a warning. What am I going to do? I'm going to fucking stop this thing. If it comes and gets us, it'll be recorded right here live on the show. If a tornado comes and blows our asses out of here.
That'd be exciting, wouldn't it?
At least you guys will know that a warning was given. Fucking give us a fucking tornado warning, but I can't stop.
That's the second one we've got today.
Don't really know what the warning's for. I can't stop it.
Well, they're telling you to get your ass like into your shelter or get into the bathroom.
I know this house very well. A tornado would fucking cut through this house like fucking butter. There is no safety in this house.
Zach says they have tornadoes in Florida. Oh yes, they do.
Yeah.
All the time. Hurricanes, tornadoes.
Yeah.
Anytime you have like a big thunderstorm, which in the summer is pretty much every day, usually has tornadoes coming along with it. Luckily, they're not that big, so you know, I've never been through one, but knock wood. But yeah, so again, that was a little strange that the some of the fuel had been dumped. So obviously the Navy starts looking everywhere for these two guys. They got
one second.
What?
They said fuel had been dumped. Did they ever give you figures on how much fuel was dumped?
No, there was 4 hours worth of fuel left.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that they had dumped the whole supply, but they just dumped like I guess the reserve that you would dump if you needed like buoyancy quick.
Yeah, I wonder if that's a mistake.
I don't know. That was one of the only unusual things that they found. Everything else was completely normal. It was functioning completely normally.
I'm going to fucking go ahead and put in a caveat in here. Some people who might be really into this case, maybe they're looking at that dumping of the fuel and they've included that in their hypothesis about what happened. Being ex-military, I'm going to tell you, it could be, that whole fuel thing might be bullshit. It could be an error. It could be that somebody in the ground crew fucked up and didn't replenish the fuel enough, or they miscounted, or you know what I'm talking about. That could be user error, because in the scenario I'm seeing, there's no time to dump any fuel. What the evidence is showing me is that this is something that happened quickly.
It must have
unexpected.
Because they didn't call for help or anything like that.
Exactly. You got it. Which tells me there was no time to dump any fuel. Whatever fuel was missing, it was because it wasn't there in the first place. Somebody forgot to do something somewhere back at the airfield. And what are you going to do? Rat on yourself? If that comes out in the investigation, it goes, oh no, by the way, I forgot to refuel the fucking thing from the last mission. Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I forgot to refuel the fucking reserve tank. They're not going to rat on themselves. So I now you told me that, and I'm already fucking, I'll smell a rat. You know what I'm talking about? I don't think any fucking fuel was I don't think any fuel was dumped. I think the fuel wasn't properly monitored. Wasn't properly recorded back at base.
Yeah, maybe not. Although, I said, it doesn't really, that doesn't really help.
When we were in the Army, we would fuck up constantly. Just because we would make a claim doesn't mean necessarily it's true. I don't think any fuel was dumped.
Well, I'm just saying what
That's what they're saying.
What everything says.
That's what they're saying.
And Tom knows better.
Well, no, I do know better. Because I know that a lot of the fucking paperwork and shit from you're going to have people in the comment sections that are going to agree with me. We used to fudge paperwork sometimes when we fuck up to try to hide mistakes that we made and stuff. I think whatever happened, it happened quickly. There wasn't any time for remedial action or dumping any fuel tanks. There was just something that happened because you would have made the call back to report that there was a problem.
Yeah.
Long before you would have dumped fuel tank. Just saying.
It seemed to me one of the weirdest things about this is that there was such a long period of radio silence.
Yeah.
And when they found the shit, and like I said, witnesses reported saying that, up to like an hour and 15 minutes after the last radio transmission, it appeared that the ship was still operating normally and was still on its route and the guys were still in there and stuff like that. So why did they not answer their radio? Why did they not report anything? Why? It's just like really, really weird.
Dumping fuel out of a tank, out of an aircraft is not an instant thing. It takes a long time. You have to open some valves, and it's going to take minutes for the fucking fuel to come out of there. You know what I mean? The hole isn't that big. During that time, you're going to fucking call. You're going to say, we're having problems. I'm dumping fuel, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to get... You're going to be reporting back about the emergency. I just don't think any fuel was dumped. I think that the fucking fuel count was incorrect. I'm imagining that what really happened is an emergency happened in this damn Zeppelin that happened and was resolved in seconds, not minutes. This is something that happened in seconds. Go ahead.
Yeah, it must have happened very quickly.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
so there was no time to dump any fuel.
Yeah. So obviously the Navy starts conducting a massive search looking for these two guys. So they spent all night looking. They had fucking ships, planes, they had the Coast Guard, they had everything. And actually had really good weather for the next couple days. Very calm, very good visibility. Could not find hide nor hair of either one of these dudes. So at this point, both their wives are, informed. They're officially missing. Now, as far as like some of the shit about what may have happened to them. So some people have speculated that the oil slick that they were over, that maybe that was a Japanese submarine. Maybe they were, taken prisoner. Maybe this, that, and the other thing. Although a Navy spokesman did say that them being attacked by an enemy submarine seems very unlikely. Nothing, as I said, nothing seemed to be amiss with the blimp. And it didn't really seem like that's what was going on. Because like I said, a lot of witnesses saw them over the area where this oil slick was, and had there been a submarine there, it seems like it would have been spotted, or something unusual would have been spotted. No one really saw anything unusual. They just saw the blimp kind of circling around about 30-50 feet up from the water, and then for about an hour as though they were making sure there was nothing there, and then they kind of just took off and went back on their regular route. So obviously they didn't see a submarine. So again, the Navy is even saying that that's pretty unlikely, that they were like attacked by an enemy. And pretty much I have to say that, the Navy is pretty much at a loss. They don't really know, what happened to it. They said there was no fire. Obviously there was no damage to the blimp. It hadn't gotten wet. It didn't look like anybody done anything incorrectly that they shouldn't be doing. It hadn't been hit by a missile. It's like, it didn't look like anybody had been on there that wasn't supposed to be on there.
No bullet holes.
There was nothing. And nobody saw anyone fall out of the cabin at any point. No one, all the parachutes were there.
Now, how far away was that ship to the boat?
Close enough that through binoculars they could see the people inside the gondola.
Did they see them in the gondola when it left?
Yeah, what do you mean? Yes. Yeah. Because when the two ships, it was two ships. It was a fishing trawler, and it was like another, I don't know, it was like a Navy ship or something like that. And they were both close enough that they could see the two guys. They all reported, like, through binoculars, you could see the two guys in the gondola. And they said, we watched the blimp circling around that one area where this presumed oil slick was. And they said we watched it, like, kind of go around this area for about an hour. And then it kind of took off back toward, like, it was going back on its route. You know what I mean? Like, they thought it was just normal. That's because, like I said, they saw blimps patrolling there all the time.
Daytime, they watched
it was morning.
And when it left, it seemed to be under control.
Yes. And nobody saw, like I said, anybody fall out. Because everybody presumes that at least one of the dudes must have fallen out.
Yeah.
And then the other guy
tried to save him,
and he fell out too. Because they said when they found the blimp crashed, the little microphone that they used was like outside. Yeah. As though he had been like calling to somebody or something like that.
I'm going to say that theory right there checks out with everything that I'm seeing, and that's why they're saying that. Somehow, during that observation phase where they were circling around looking for that damn German U-boat submarine.
The Japanese boat.
Excuse me. Japanese. There were Germans. They were on the East Coast, though.
Yeah.
That Japanese fucking submarine. During that phase, somehow, something got compromised. Maybe that dude opened that door to look out. And didn't re-shut that door well enough. And then somehow later on, he fell out through that open door. or poorly latched door. And maybe he was hanging on for dear life, and the other guy reached over there and unbuckled his shit and tried to pull him back in.
Yeah.
They got a hold of each other, and the guy fell and pulled the other dude out with him.
I think that's the most likely scenario.
It was something like that.
Obviously, they fell out at some point.
Yeah. They fell out
because they weren't in there.
And you can think, well, how did two of them fall out? Very easy. One guy comes out and he's holding on somewhere for dear life. The other guy unbuckles his shit and goes over there to try to help him, try to pull him back in. They get a hold of each other, but the other guy falls and pulls that guy out.
Yeah. We
don't know the weight difference or the size difference, or the physical. And plus there's speed and maybe air speed and wind involved too, you know. And they both fall out. Maybe the reason why having life preservers on didn't make any difference is because the height that they fell was very high, so they died when they hit the water.
That's possible.
Yeah. They might have been, 1,000 feet off the fucking ground, off the fucking water when it happened.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that during that observation phase, they were trying to get a good look. One of them was trying to get a good look at the water. So maybe he opened the door to look out. And then when he relatched the door to leave, he didn't latch it right. Something like that.
Now, when it was crashed, they did find that it had been latched. I guess you can latch it open.
Yeah.
It had been latched open.
So they must have been looking out.
Yeah.
They latched it open, or they locked it open.
Yeah.
And they were looking out. Somehow they decided not to fucking close it. And guy ended up fucking somehow in the door frame, holding on for dear life. The other guy tried to save him. They both went out.
Which, like, and it just seems...
It makes the most sense to me.
It's very weird to me that if they were suspicious enough about something to be, like, looking out the door,
yeah,
you'd think that they would radio. That's the weirdest things to me, is that the radio... It'd be one thing if they found the shit and the radio was broken. Okay, that would explain it. But it just seems very weird to me that they wouldn't radio past 7:42 a.m., even though for, like, at least an hour afterward... Well, they were still moving around like normal, and but they weren't reporting, and I'd have
to know all the details of how they were trained, and what the procedures were, what the standard operating procedures were. Did they go into a fucking high alert status? And when you go into a high alert status, their standard operating procedure was to go into radio silence. Did that happen? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could it be that if you really suspected there was a damn submarine or a target down there, were you supposed to lock the door open? And when you locked the door open, were you supposed to be using other things inside the damn gondola? You know, like binoculars or flares, or what else equipment was up in there that that they were supposed to use to try to fucking ID a target? You know? I don't know all the little details.
Yeah.
The devil would be in the details.
Yeah,
Some reason, they decided to fucking latch the door open. Maybe they went into radio silence. Maybe they got really focused in, like, we're going to get this fucking sub. We're going to come out of this bitch heroes. And they're not really fucking radioing back. They're not really thinking about back at base. They're trying to solve the fucking problem at hand. And then one of them somehow slips and falls out. And he's holding on to the ledge. And the other guy says, I'll get you. You know what I mean? They grab hold of each other, and the dude falls and pulls the other guy out. It was something like that. Could have been maybe they were just cock-proud motherfuckers that just, you know what I mean? We don't know the character of the crew. Maybe they were just real, you know, what do you call them? Fucking real confident, swaggering badasses. You know what I mean? Fuck base. We're going to take care of this on our own. 1930s style. You know what I mean? Like back in the Flash Gordon days. And
back when Flash Gordon really existed.
Yeah, back when Flash Gordon existed. So you don't know. The character of the crew and the standard operating procedures is where you go. That's what will answer this.
Yeah.
Then they're done that.
Yeah.
Then they're done that.
And I mean, these two guys, like I said, they had both flown these types of craft before.
Yeah.
And apparently
so
had
they
never
were comfortable with it.
Yeah, and had never gotten into any trouble, and you know, so I don't think there was any reason to think
they may have broken some SOP. You know what I'm talking about? Maybe they were
Yeah.
doing something that wasn't quite by the book. It was something that they were used to doing. Like hanging your ass outside the goddamn gondola. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And looking down with a pair of binoculars. You know what I mean? Like a motherfucker on HRT. You know, you don't know. You don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah.
You weren't there.
I know.
But it was something like that. It was something. They must have been doing something they weren't really supposed to be doing, but they did it anyway. Like opening a damn door, latching it open, hanging out, looking with binoculars, and doing real Audie Murphy shit. Like back in the Great War. I think it was something like that.
Yeah, I mean, there have been some other kind of theories as well that, like I said, some people have said that they were, captured by a Japanese sub.
No.
Some people have said that they were spies for Japan.
No.
And that there was like someone else who had stowed away in the gondola and kind of overpowered them. Some people have said that they maybe wanted to go AWOL, and fucked it up somehow. Some people have even said that there was like some kind of love triangle, like they were both after the same woman, so one murdered the other one and all this other stuff. Rogue Wave, that's another one that some people bring up. And of course, kidnapped by aliens. That I know. Obviously, that's not. No. Obviously, that's not the right answer.
It's gonna be something that if you saw it on fucking CC, if it was something you saw on video, you'd go, well, of course. It was something. You know what I mean? It was. Something.
Well, that's what's so frustrating about these is that it just seems like obviously something happened.
Yeah.
This is kind of like, I don't know if you guys remember when we did that show a long time ago about the horror of room 1046 or whatever. And it's like just all the details of that are just so weird. Yeah. But if you knew what happened, it wouldn't be weird. But that's why it's weird, because you don't know.
You don't know. It was something like they weren't following proper procedures, being badasses, and an accident happened and the other dude tried to save the other guy. It was something that if you saw it, you'd go, well, of course. That's what it was. It was something dumb.
I mean, like I said, to me, the most mysterious thing is the radio thing. Like, why they didn't keep everybody apprised.
Because it happened fast. The radio was working?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they said even after it crashed, the radio was in perfect working order. And as I said, oh my goodness,
Pokey. Why are
Pokey.
you tearing shit up? She's, she gave me that look.
She gave you the look?
Yeah, that angry look with her fucking eyebrows down. She's telling me to let her outside.
Put her little collar on.
Okay, come on. Let's go. See that?
Yeah.
See, that's it?
Beep.
Okay, come on.
She's so cute. Yeah, she comes in and she gives him that. She's like, I want to go outside. She wants to go out on the back porch. But yeah, so to me, that's the weirdest thing. It's like, why? Okay, if you thought that there was a Japanese sub there and then like you checked it out and you didn't find anything, and why didn't you like radio back and go, nah, it's good. It was just a random oil slick. There's nothing there. We're going to head on to wherever. I'm not really sure why they didn't do that, because it really does seem like nobody fell out at that point. I mean, nobody saw anybody fell out, because at that point when they were circling around the oil slick, they were still being watched by like the crews of a couple different ships. So I feel like if somebody had fallen out, somebody would have seen that. And the fact that it circled around the oil slick and then just kind of kept on trucking like it's in its normal route, obviously, and the two guys were still obviously in there. So nobody fell out around the oil slick time period. It had to have been sometime later. So it's very weird to me, like why there was no radio contact like within any of that time period. Now another theory, I'm pretty sure I don't buy this one either, but there has been another theory kind of floating around since 2009 that that this blimp had like some secret shit, like some top secret shit on it. It was like not super top secret shit, but kind of like experimental radar. And that something went wrong with some kind of microwaves on there and they fell out because of that. But like I said, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure that solves the problem, because obviously the two guys fell out at some point for some reason, and they never did find them. So I don't know. It's just really weird. And like I said, the Navy has even come forward and said, look, we've investigated this and we have no fucking idea like what happened to them. Obviously they fell out at some point, but they never found them, and they don't know why they fell out and why they weren't calling anybody on the radio, and they didn't call for help or anything like that. So it's just a real weird case. And like I said, it's from 1942, and they still don't know what the hell ever happened to those dudes. Unless they got sucked into another dimension.
You talking about Flight 19?
Not yet.
Yeah, okay.
That'll be the next thing.
Okay.
Is she gonna be good?
She's gonna be fine.
Okay.
I told her to keep that shit under control.
Keep that shit under control.
I had to find her collar.
Yeah, she keeps losing those.
Yeah.
I buy those little, like, from Chewy. I buy, like, a little bag, and it's got, like, 6 little collars in there.
All different colors.
They're all different colors, and they glow.
Little glow, yeah.
And they're breakaway. So, she
get
lost...
out there and break them away.
Yeah. She's like, fuck this.
Yeah.
Although she's gotten better about that. We took a while. She got rid of a couple of the ones.
Like I found one out there about a fucking quarter mile away. So found it with a flashlight at night.
Yeah, she's like, oh, that's where that went.
That's where that went.
Yeah, Oracle says Pookie is an escape artist.
Yeah.
She is kind of. She's good, though. I mean, she does stay within this area. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like right around our house and the two neighbors' houses on either side.
They fell out of the damn gondola at a high enough altitude to kill them on impact. That's what happened. And then they were eaten by sharks.
Yeah, probably.
That's what happened.
Yeah, some people have said too that maybe that the safety latch on the door wasn't working right, and maybe somebody like accidentally leaned against it and fell out or something like that. But like I said, obviously they fell out at some point.
Yeah.
They just never found them.
That's shark territory, and they're floating on their dead bodies were floating on the surface with the life preservers, and fucking fish ate them. Wouldn't take long.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what happened to them.
Yeah.
Depending on the currents, they fucking went away from the coast instead of towards the coast.
Yeah.
They're just never found.
Yeah, so like I said, after this mysterious incident, after World War II was over, Goodyear did actually take this blimp back and fix it up, and they used it on all kind of like sporting events and shit like that until 1982. Yeah, you probably saw it if you grew up in the 70s and 80s. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I think it's in a museum in Pensacola now. So
you see those things all the time down in L.A. They have patterns with the lights going on them. Look like a damn UFO. They were cool.
Yeah.
Remember. But as a kid, I had no idea how big they were. They seemed to be huge. I thought they were the size of the Hindenburg. No, they're not. They're a lot smaller.
Yeah, they're not Hindenburg size.
Yeah, no. A lot smaller. Size of maybe 4 or 5 train boxcars. That's about how big they are.
Yeah. But, so basically the two guys were declared dead a year after they disappeared, and the Navy was basically just like, we have no idea what happened or where they went. Sorry about that. They also did, this was on Unsolved Mysteries too, I think, back in 1993.
Yeah.
So yeah. Now, you want to talk about...
Somebody said Alex Rivera says a bitch of alcohol was involved. Not a joke.
Possibly.
Very possible. In that era, guys on duty, fucking in the army, drinking, yeah, it happened. Especially if they didn't have real good supervision. And maybe they got alerted out and they were kind of fucking drunk, Or they just said, fuck it. They just got drunk out there on those fucking missions and just threw the bottles off. It's not really that. It wouldn't have culturally been a very big of a deal for them to do that back in the 40s.
It was, they did leave very early on a Sunday morning. Maybe they were still hungover from Saturday night.
I actually think, okay, we're going to talk about Flight 19.
Yeah.
Being hungover, I think, was a factor in Flight 19.
I think so, too. That might have had, Taylor dude, I think he might have been having some issues.
And, look, man, fucking, I loved Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And I knew about fucking Flight 19 as a kid, even when I was a kid, because I saw shit on In Search Of.
Yeah.
Leonard Nimoy, his ass told me about it. Okay? If you guys hadn't grown up with fucking, In Search Of, I can't do that fucking stuff. And,
Man, I loved In Search
if
Of.
Nimoy if Nimoy told you that shit happened, fucking happened. Okay. So when I saw Close Encounters of the Third Kind, I really wanted it to be that fucking that's what happened to those dudes. But being older and understanding fucking the military situation and having experience with things like vertigo, and gray out and stuff, which is a weird fucking thing. But that happened to me on a causeway going out to New Orleans one time. Gray car, gray road, gray water, gray sky. Boy, I barely made it across that damn fucking causeway. The only thing that wasn't gray were those fucking dotted yellow lines. I thought I was fucking spinning like crazy. There's a bunch of shit that could have happened to those dudes, but we're going to talk about it.
I mean, the human brain, it's pretty easy to fool it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't have anything to latch onto.
About where you are and how fast you're going and what direction you're pointed in. You get vertigo real quick.
And you have to think, too, that, like, back in the 1940s, they didn't have, like, all the really high-tech shit we have nowadays.
No.
So...
Well, they were trained to fly by instruments.
Yeah.
But I tried that, too, in that situation, and it's hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard. Because your head's fucking spinning. You're looking at the instruments, but it feels like you're just fucking spinning.
Yep.
And then time starts to fucking really stretch out. You're not really sure how long you've been doing something. 10 minutes or fucking 10 hours. And we'll get into that case in a minute.
Yeah.
Are we done with this case?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start with.
So you're basically just saying they were probably like hungover or something like that, and just kind of.
I think it was a lot of things. It was a lot of things at once.
Yeah.
But I think being hungover was a factor. Because I know that those dudes had evidently been drinking the day before. And we're talking about a 1940s World War II drinking.
Yeah.
Okay. And those dudes didn't weigh much. If you look at them, if you look at fucking films of these guys, they were some spaghetti arm motherfuckers. It was a different era. Okay. People in general were just not fucking raised on a high protein diet. It was a high carbohydrate fucking diet. And white men of the 40s were built like children. They were. Unless you were fucking an athlete. Look at World War II. They were little bitty skinny arms, and they drank a lot. And I'm telling you, they didn't have much mass on them, so they couldn't have been resisting alcohol that much.
Yeah.
And they drank a lot of it. This is confirmed.
Yeah.
I had relatives of that generation, and they drank a lot.
Yeah.
And they drank. It started during.
People think we drink a lot.
No.
Actually, even when I was in the UK in the 90s, they could drink me under the fucking table.
Yeah. I had a fucking Irish girlfriend in Boston, and she could outdrink me. All right. But I don't think she could have outdrank any of my uncles, my World War II uncles.
Yeah.
No, fuck no. They drink more than Russians. You know?
That's saying something.
That's saying something. They drink a fifth a day.
See, I can't even imagine that.
Yeah, they drink a fifth a day, and they'd be fucking coherent.
See, that's what kills me.
Yeah.
You know? It's like...
I can't drink a fifth of alcohol.
No, me neither.
They'd sit down and drink a whole fifth of fucking scotch and still be talking.
I mean, that takes commitment.
Yeah, and these are 150-pound
like
dudes.
Years and years of doing that like every day. And
and these were 150-pound dudes.
Yeah.
There was nothing to them, you know?
I mean, you know, I have a few drinks, but after a few drinks, I start getting a little bit incoherent. You know what I mean?
All you had to do is look at a 1950s era, say, Corvette. All right? They were little. A lot of those cars from that time, the clothes from that time, you could tell how narrow in the shoulder they were. They just were not massive guys. The whole fantasy of the cartoon fantasy of Superman and Batman, the way they drew those guys, was just that. It was just fantasy.
Yeah.
Very, very few people were actually built like that. And the first time you saw guys actually built like that was the 70s during the fucking golden era, the golden age of bodybuilding, and that was because fucking Anavar. They were fucking eating Anavar and working out. All right, and you had Arnold and all these guys and these motherfuckers back here. They really started to become numerous in the 70s. Well, what kind of numbers we're talking about? We're talking about under a couple hundred, under 100.
Yeah.
in all of the United States. So not numerous at all. There are more dudes like that right now than there have ever been. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there's all this shit about all these soy boy motherfuckers that are running around like on how feminine these new fucking young guys are of today. Actually, if you actually look at the raw numbers and what's happening in the fucking bodybuilding and the health scene, no, I don't think we've actually have been this physically fit ever.
No, of course not.
There's more of those dudes than there has ever been.
Well, and everyone is so much more aware of, and it's really easy to get healthy food nowadays and get supplements and get stuff like that. They didn't have that luxury back in World War II. The
difference is back in the 70s, action movies came out with those guys and they were promoting it so everybody saw it. Now, in movies and fucking the media, you don't see that anymore. Until you go on Instagram. You go on Instagram, you will see how many of those motherfuckers there are. There are dudes that are far bigger than fucking Arnold. Or a dude that looked like Arnold. There's lots of those guys now. They're not even noticed at the gym now. There's lots of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a trip. They got girls now that look better than any woman has ever existed. And yeah, they're on some of that shit. And they're doing. Now, back in the day, they did have muscle women. They didn't look good. They've got it They got it worked out where they still look female.
Yeah.
You know, and that I like it. It looks good. There's lots of them. They're all in their 20s, 30s, 40s, you know. But yeah, getting back to this fucking Flight 19. Alcohol, I think, was involved in this case. But go ahead, Jen.
All right. So we're talking now about another weird disappearance. This kind of, kind of cross-pollinates with the whole Bermuda Triangle thing. Like I said, I'm pretty sure we never talked about this before. I don't know if we did a show about the Bermuda Triangle. I kind of feel like we didn't. Yeah. We did some ghost ship shows. We did a ghost ship show, I think, and some alien shit. But
hold on, I got to answer a question from Tila. Tila says, she's quoting me. They drank a lot back then. Tom, is that what Jack Nicholson meant when The Shining when he said white man's burden? No, that's not what he meant. Back, I think this actually started in the 50s and the 60s. There was a concept called the white man's burden that would come up, and that was, it was kind of like a bullshit concept. I don't know. You can probably look more into it. You can research it online, but from memory, it was kind of like a bullshit cultural phenomenon where the white man was supposed to take the loss to help non-white people rise up to his level. That's what that was talking about. The white. Yeah,
it was a little bit of a paternalistic.
It was like a paternalistic,
imperialistic.
We're gonna have to fucking give this up and then give this up so these non-white people can catch up to us. That's what the
Oracle points out white man's burden dates back to Kipling at least.
Kipling?
He wrote a poem about it.
Okay.
Read your Kipling, yeah.
Right.
I thought it was a pretty old because I've seen some really old, really racist sketches that were talking about it.
The last time I ever heard anybody say that shit was the 70s. That shit's out of style as a motherfucker.
Yeah.
So it was Kipling.
The reason that
it was British. It was a British thing.
Yeah. The reason that he says that in the movie, I think, is another thing where they're talking about the genocide, the Native American genocide. Yeah. I think he's kind of that's why he says that. Because he is talking about, and there's the whole thing too, where Native Americans are thought as like, they don't, they're not as tolerant of alcohol as white people. There's that whole thing too. So I think that's kind of what he was getting at. Yeah, and a lot of that would have tied in with the Stanley Kubrick style of shooting that movie, which of course is a fucking masterpiece, of how the Overlook Hotel was a temple to evil, built by a bunch of rich fucking evil oligarchs, really, built on the bones of their fucking enemies, and it was decorated with the fucking decor of their defeated enemies, basically Indians and stuff. So it would have kind of layered into that the oligarch elites all saw this as part of white man's burden. You know, that's probably what they was talking. That's probably what Kubrick was talking about. Yeah, because I mean, of all the theories about The Shining, probably about 80% of which I think are probably bullshit. But the Native American genocide thing, I totally do think that he was
Well, it was talked about in a book.
Yeah.
That during the building of the Overlook, they had to fucking fend off some Indian attacks.
And they mentioned that in the movie.
They mentioned it in the movie.
Ullman mentions
that would be the equivalent of consecrating a fucking ground with the spilt blood, like a sacrifice. Then you're consecrating the ground. And to me, it was a temple. It was a temple to fucking evil and hedonism. That was the idea.
Yeah.
It was where elites went to go play and party, commit crimes, plan crimes, all different kinds of crimes, like financial crimes and stuff, crimes against mankind, really, and to revel in debauchery. And basically, what he's talking about is Epstein's Island. It was like a Epstein's Island place, and it had a spirit of its own, which was evil, and it trapped the ghosts of the evil in it. And that's why that fucking movie. That's why that movie Dr. Sleep, I really appreciated it the second time watching that director's cut. Watching the director's cuts on the second time, I was like, yeah, okay, I see it now. Because even the vampires appreciated what it was.
Yeah, and like I said, that was one
damn.
thing that I did like about Dr. Sleep as opposed to, you know, as a carry-on from The Shining, was that The Shining was kind of like a place that would kind of suck the shine out of people to power itself.
Yeah, and it was like a construct. It was built. And it was built for that purpose, I think.
And basically...
Or maybe built by accident. But what they did built that evil place,
And the true knot in Dr. Sleep were kind of like person equivalents of the Overlook. They were like psychic vampires.
Yeah,
they were feeding off...
Yeah, Rose the Hat shows up and sees the blood coming out of the damn elevators, and she just fucking smiles and marvels at it and goes, yeah. Yeah, so she liked the place.
Yeah, she knew exactly what it was.
Knew exactly what it was.
Because she recognized it. She's like, oh, you do the same thing that I do, except you're a building and I'm a person.
Right.
But, it was kind of the same thing. But, speaking of Mike Flanagan, who directed Dr. Sleep, we might talk about Oculus tomorrow. Because Mike Flanagan also directed
T says, awesome explanation, T and J. Okay, yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. I mean, because there was so much Native American stuff. I do think, too, that he was trying to make a kind of a microcosm, macrocosm type of thing of the genocide of the Native Americans, and also the way that Jack, when he had been taken over by the hotel, that he was subjugating his family.
Yeah.
Too. Because Wendy wears like kind of a lot of Native American looking clothes.
T's saying she's going to have to watch the movies again now, so she wants to see The Shining again. Yeah, that's right. And you got to understand, all this shit takes place in the gold room. And fucking what they're talking about with the gold room is kind of like what they're talking about with the creation of the Federal Reserve Bank. It was a gold room where the gold was. So you got to remember when he first goes into the Overlook, what's his name? Ullman? Ullman says only the best people stayed here.
Yeah.
Only the best. Yeah, right. Only the best. Sure.
Only the best worst people.
Yeah.
The best evil people.
Yeah, that's what they're talking about. The gold room. And they're in there fucking drinking and it's a temple built on fucking ground where they kill fucking people and fucking all this debauchery going on and murder in there and fucking it's decorated in the motifs of your fucking conquered foes. That's what that shit was all about. It's fucking witchcraft, basically. Sorcery.
Rick Shaw says, didn't Stephen King hate The Shining? He did, yeah.
Yeah, he did, but Stephen King didn't understand The Shining. Fucking look at the television version of fucking The Shining. I like the television version of Shining.
I did not.
It's closer to the book.
It is.
But it's far inferior to The Shining.
It's too literal.
It is, yeah.
I think I've talked about this before. It's like, it's not awful, but it's just, it follows the book very literally.
Yep.
And I think what Kubrick did with it was that he made it mythic.
Yeah. It is the same story.
Yeah, roughly.
Kubrick's Shining is the exact same story, but that is the way his mom, what was the mom's name? Fuck.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Danny's mom.
Wendy.
Wendy, yeah. That was what it would have looked like from Wendy's point of view only, basically.
Which is why I like it.
Yeah, because Wendy didn't see the ghosts until the very end. Wendy didn't... All that other shit that happened in the book, Wendy didn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
So you're only seeing it from Wendy's point of view, which is what it would have looked like from your point of view had you been there. So it's still a masterpiece. I give a fuck what you say. I just do.
And like I said, I really think I love the book. I do.
Yeah.
It's easily one of my favorite Stephen King books. It's a great book.
Right.
But we've talked about this before. What works in a book and what works in a movie are two completely different things.
Cinema is very
two completely different things.
Cinema
and
is
the
very
thing
different.
about it is that one thing that when Stephen King made the made-for-TV Shining, he wanted to make it just like the book, which, like I said, fair enough. It's his book. He can do whatever he wants with it. But it just seemed to me like it was too literal. It was too over-explained. There was too much exposition dump. There was this whole thing at the beginning where it's like, hey, here's all the bad things that happened at the Overlook, and these are the ghosts you'll be seeing later on. It's like it's so much creepier when you
creepy.
Don't know. When this this old naked bag comes out of the fucking bathtub. You don't know who
looking
the fuck
for
that
young
is.
boys. And if you know the book, she's looking for young boys.
It's like, you know what I mean? So that's like way scarier because you're just seeing this stuff without any context. You know, you're seeing like a dude in a fucking bear suit, like giving somebody a blowjob. It's like you're just seeing that and you have no idea like what any of it means.
And the Overlook is just this whole fucking evil temple built to serve and to create and to fucking store evil, old, racist ghosts. That's what they were.
Yeah.
Old racist ghosts.
Yep.
I mean, even fucking Grady. Remember that? Fucking freely using the N-word that they were getting involved in this.
Yeah.
Because that's not what the Overlook was. The Overlook was the equivalent to basically what you're talking about is an Aztec sacrificial fucking temple. That's what it was. But it was the white man's version of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're still running shit with the Federal Reserve Bank and all these fucking scams and banking scams and buying up people's land, and that's what it is. Alcohol, orgies, fucking dressing up in dog outfits and dudes blowing each other. That's what they're fucking talking about. And that was only the best people. That was the best people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, Alex said exactly. It's too much telling instead of showing.
Yeah, you can't tell.
And like I said, that works in a book, obviously,
Yeah.
because, all in a book, all you have is someone's words. You're trying to build a picture in someone's head. In a movie, you have visuals. You don't have to do exposition dumps. You can just show everything, which is what you're supposed to do.
Kubrick went back and just said, well, what would this story look like just from Wendy's point of view?
And
that was the scariest fucking point of view because she didn't have all the details. And
yeah, she just had no fucking idea what was going on.
Now, a couple shit got added, you know what I mean? There wasn't a maze. Instead, there were hedge animals. They didn't have the technology to do the hedge animals the way they were described in the
maze
book.
was so much better anyway.
Right. The maze was a little bit better.
Because then you have that Theseus and the Minotaur thing.
And Halloran lived in the book.
Yeah.
But in the movie, somebody had to die, or it wouldn't have been a horror movie. If Halloran didn't die, then nobody died. What kind of horror movie is that? So they killed Halloran in it. Which, when I was a kid, that scared the shit out of me.
I think that was the scariest scene.
Yeah.
The bathtub scene and Halloran getting killed. That used to really, really upset me when I was a kid. Because he was such a likable character, and he spent half the movie trying to get up there to save Danny, and then he just walks in.
The problems between the book and the movie, and then I think it was all worked out with the director's cut of Dr. Sleep. It all kind of, I think it all started to fit back in together. When they did the director's cut of Dr. Sleep, they purposely did what they could to link the book and the movie together, and then it made sense. It made a lot more.
Yeah,
it was a lot better.
Scott said the hedge animals were sort of dumb, in my opinion. I do like in the book they were creepy, but
it would only work in the book.
It only works in a book because I mean, obviously, when they did the CGI hedge animals in Stephen King's version, it was just the silliest looking thing. It was like not scary at all. I mean, a maze is so much scarier, obviously.
Rick, the TV version, I like it. But I don't like it as much as the fucking Kubrick's version, but I do like it. It is verbatim what the book was.
Yeah, it's pretty much exactly like the book.
The thing is that the tone is kind of, in some ways, a little bit goofy. Because what works in a book doesn't work in a movie very well. It doesn't even work in a television series very well.
Plus, the makeup on the ghost was just really not...
Yeah.
I think it was creepier in Kubrick's version because the ghosts didn't... I mean, other than the rotted lady in the bathtub who was horrifying. But other than that, like, most of the ghosts just looked like normal people. They were just people that weren't supposed to be there. And, like, that was way scarier to me. I mean, because... You know, you have somebody turn up with, like, kind of gray, like, Halloween-looking makeup. It's like, that's not really all that scary. You know? I don't think.
I'm listening to all the comments. Go ahead and read.
The
proof is in Danny's sweater. He's talking about the fucking...
the moon landing thing.
Yeah, the moon landing.
I honestly love all the stuff in there about the weird geography of the hotel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, all the shit that they... shot with like Danny, and it's like, no, he's facing this way on the carpet, and now look, the carpet pattern is reversed, and all the, I mean, just the fact that he thought of all that shit is fucking crazy.
Michael says, I'm glad I hadn't watched it then. Thanks, Tom. I don't know what he's talking about. He must be talking about the television series of The Shining. I don't know. Michael, I don't really know what you're talking about, what you haven't watched. The television version, the television mini-series of The Shining is worth seeing. It's worth seeing. But you don't want to put that above the Kubrick movie.
And I didn't like, even though, like you said, this was exactly like the book, even though in the TV version, Tony was a teenage boy that, like, kind of floated around and talked to Danny, which, to me, I know that's how it was in the book. Yes, it's an older version of him and all that other stuff. I know they went into that in the novel, but... To me, it was just super, super cheesy. It's just, it seems like, so Danny comes outside, you know, with his teeth, because that poor little kid had that teeth thing that really, like, distracted me. But, and he sees, like, a kid, like a teenage kid with glasses, like, floating by the stop sign, like, telling him shit. Just, that's just not scary to me. It's not scary. It's just cheesy.
That's the way it was in the book, though.
I know, but it's not, but it just goes to show... I mean, it's Kubrick's version, just him, like, talking in that weird voice. That's, well, like, way creepier.
Kubrick understood that less is more.
Yeah.
Now somebody's talking about blowing the dogs. No, that's not what happened. In the Kubrick's version of the movie, you will see a guy in a dog costume with the ass open on the costume, blowing some dude who was in a
tuxedo.
A tuxedo. Now, in the book... What this is about, there were these two tycoons. One of them, I think this took place back in the 30s.
Zach is asking me who are the actors in the TV version. It was the dude from Wings. Yeah. The fuck was that dude's name? And I think Rebecca De Mornay played Wendy. Yeah. What the fuck was that dude's name from Wings? Somebody will know. It's that dude. He plays Jack.
I'm trying to answer the question. Back in the 20s, according to the fucking book, there were these two tycoons. And one of them, he was bisexual. He would fuck with a dude, but only once. Not twice. Once his curiosity was satisfied, he wouldn't do it again. But the other tycoon was gay. And in love with the dude. He wanted to fucking get a piece of that shit on a regular basis. Dude kept telling him no. He wasn't going to fucking go back for seconds. Finally, he goes, okay, I'll let you fucking blow me and do some shit to me again. If you dress up in a dog costume.
And the guy was like, fair
He's like,
enough.
okay, and dude did it. Somehow, those dudes ended up dying later on, and their ghosts got fucking absorbed into the fucking... into the Overlook. Because the Overlook Hotel, of course, captured ghosts. That's what it did. It was like an evil place.
Steven Weber, thank you.
Who's Steven Weber?
The guy that played Jack in the TV version.
Yeah, that's right.
I couldn't remember his name. I was just like, the guy from Wings. What the fuck is that dude's name?
Look, the TV version of it could be redone into a bigger, more expanded version of the fucking of The Shining. You could remake that and do it a lot better with a lot better tone. You could with today's technology.
I mean, I wrote a blog post about it where I compared the two things, and I was kind of shitting on the TV version a little bit. But I'm like, look, I'm not saying that there can't be a really, really good version of The Shining that's really close to the book. You know what I mean? They could make a really good movie version of The Shining that's close to the book, but that ain't it. That's all I'm saying.
And Zach's gay ass jumps in here and goes, "Wait, who's gay?" Zach, if you didn't hear the fucking story, I'm not going to tell it again. Zach, see, you know what it is? Zach just wants me to fucking tell him gay stories. That's what it is.
I hear the gay stories.
Yeah, Zach wants to hear gay stories told in my voice. That my bitch loves me. Bitch, you love me, Zach.
Yeah, you should just do a whole.
I'm gonna do a whole fucking gay podcast for you.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, again,
Steven Weber died. Holy
Did
shit! In
Damn.
2007, he wasn't that old, was he? I don't know. Shit, man. The TV version. Sorry, Steven.
Yeah.
Don't haunt me. But he was a fine actor. I'm just saying it wasn't his fault. You know that the TV version wasn't that good.
Michael got him though. Michael goes, the dude dressed up as the fucking dog blowing the guy was Zach. That was Zach. Yeah.
Mark Navarro just out of nowhere said cock meat sandwich.
Yeah, it was.
So you know.
Rick's going gay campfire time.
Zach says, "Tom, no, you're my dad's age. I'm not into that kind of thing."
Yeah, that's some shit. These bitches always kind of come out with how old I am. He's my dad's age. Fuck, man. Fuck all that shit.
Oh, you're making Tom sad.
I'm not your dad's age.
You probably are though. Because Zach's only like 23.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, right. He
Yeah.
forgot he's a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Bitch keeps messaging me.
Oh, okay. Tammy
know
says,
that?
"Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, Steven Weber isn't dead. He's still alive.
Okay.
He's been on NCIS New Orleans. Okay, never mind. So he can't haunt me. Not yet. He might haunt me later, though." So you want to talk about Flight 19?
Let me go get another drink. You want another drink?
I'll
make it a real weak one.
A super weak.
Okay.
I mean, I still have like 3 hours before I have to go on the other show.
All right.
So I have time to process it all out, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, so we got to talk about Flight 19, but I really want him to be back here for this. It's like, see, every time we start talking about The Shining, and it's like I just never stop talking. I just never want to stop talking about it because it's just a fascinating topic. Like I said, every now and then I'll kind of go on YouTube and just like watch, because there's 50 bajillion videos on there, like with different theories and all this other kind of stuff. And even the people that have like crackpot theories and shit, I'll listen to that shit too. I don't even care. Even though I'm just like watching it going, you are so high right now. But that's what's so awesome about that fucking movie, is that even shit like that sounds like it could be kind of plausible, you know? So that's all. One of these days, I mean, probably not soon, because we just watched Dr. Sleep, and like I said, it's like fucking 3 hours long. One of these days, I kind of want to watch The Shining and then Dr. Sleep, like one after the other. I'll just, just get all comfortable and get a bunch of snacks and shit like that, and then we'll just like sit through like fucking 6 hours of the movies or however fucking long it is. That sounds like super fun. But yeah, so Tila said sorry to bring it up. No, that's okay. Like I said, I could talk about The Shining all fucking day long, man. And I've written a bunch of stuff about it, like on my blog, shit where I compared it to the book and compared it to the TV version, to the Kubrick version, and all this other kind of stuff. It's just, it's an endlessly fascinating thing. Thank you very much.
Get my drink. I'm gonna get some.
Is it really weak?
Yeah.
Well, hurry up so we can start talking about Flight 19. Hurry up. I still have 3 hours for the other show, so I'm hoping that I'm not gonna get too messed up today. Tila said you're watching both of them tonight. Zach says, I still say Hereditary is scarier now, that movie. Seriously, one of these days, God, I'm just so tempted, because I saw it in the theater when it came out in 2018. And that movie, and you guys know, I'm super into horror movies, and I always want to see something that like traumatizes me. I know that's weird to say, but I very, very rarely see anything that really bothers me or like gives me nightmares. That shit did. Oh my God. That movie scared the shit out of me. And it scared me so bad that it's like I said, I really want to watch it again, because as I mentioned, there's so much stuff in there that I missed, and I really want to go back and watch it so I can catch everything. But every time I think about rewatching it, I get anxiety. So I haven't rewatched it like for 2 years. Like I'll watch videos about it, like, and they're pointing out, like, look at all the hidden ghosts and look at all this stuff that was going on in the background that you didn't notice and look at all this symbolism and stuff. So I'll watch that, and I'm sitting there going, man, I really need to sit and watch that movie again. And it's just like, I just can't. It's so strange because it was one of those movies that it just made me feel so bad, like for like maybe 2 weeks after I saw it. It just made me feel shitty, but also awesome because a movie hadn't done that to me for a really, really long time. And it was really like revelatory because I was like, oh my God, a horror movie hasn't like stressed me out and made me feel this crappy for like such a long time. So I was like, hooray. So I was like really happy about it. But then on the other hand, I was like, but I still feel really shitty and freaked out, and it's like giving me nightmares and stuff. So it's like, it was a really weird experience. And it's like, I don't know. I'll watch it again one of these days when I get my my bravery back. But as it is now, it's just like every time I see it, I see the cover coming up and going, oh, am I ready to feel like that again? I don't know. But I don't know. I'll get around to it one of these days. Cujo in the original Elm Street scared me. I remember the first Nightmare on Elm Street's kind of creeping me out. So it's like, there's even a couple scenes in there in the original Nightmare on Elm Street that still kind of creep me out. The one scene that really creeps me out is when Nancy is in the classroom and the guy is reading, what the fuck's he reading from? It's like he's reading from Shakespeare, I think. And he suddenly starts, like, she falls asleep, but you don't know that. And then the guy reading suddenly starts reading, and he's like that, like in a whisper. And then she sees Tina, like, in the body bag, like in the hall, and there's like, I don't know, that like weirds me out, that scene. Still, we'll look at you. You just kind of like took off, and you ate that whole big thing at Red Lobster, and now you're still hungry.
It's protein.
I can't. Okay. I told him, I was like, look, I have like leftover food from there. I can't even eat it till tomorrow afternoon because I'm just like, my stomach is sore.
Because I'm a fucking man.
I know.
You're gonna eat.
What?
We're gonna eat. You know, we get hungry. It's protein though.
That makes
you don't gain fat from that.
Yeah, that makes
gain muscle.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
All right.
Folded up cured ham.
Yeah. Where did that ham even come from? Did you made it yesterday?
Bought it during the yeah, I made it yesterday. But remember, I bought that ham during last holiday season and I froze it.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Spiral cut ham.
I don't even know what the hell's in the freezer.
Because you don't look.
Well, I don't ever have any reason to go in there.
I glazed that bitch and everything. It's a spiral cut ham. There's a bunch of it in there.
We have the ice maker on the outside of the door, and that's the only thing I ever get is ice water. So it's like it's not like I'm just digging around in the freezer for anything.
Anytime you eat a sandwich, just pull off a slice of that spiral cut.
Okay. Well, like I said, I got my lunch tomorrow covered because I still got like half that meal from Red Lobster left over. So I got a bunch of like coconut shrimp, because coconut shrimp, like I said, is my favorite. I didn't realize they were gonna give me so many of them, like on this platter, like in addition to all the other things. I thought it was just gonna be like a little bit, like, oh, it's a little piece of fish, it's a couple scallops, no, it wasn't. It was like this big, huge baked potato. It was like all these shrimp. It was like really big ones. And then it was like this whole big thing of scallops and like two big things. I'm like, holy fucking shit, man. I didn't realize it was going to be this much food. It wasn't that expensive.
I'm going back over all the comments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael Schaefer says, Jenny, you better hurry up or Tom is going to eat your leftovers. You better not eat my coconut shrimp, motherfucker. I'm going to punch you right in the face.
I got several pounds of fucking frozen shrimp that ready to cook. It's been in there for months.
See, I didn't know that was in there either.
No, we can have shrimp boil whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got Zatarain's fucking shrimp seasoning and everything.
One of these days we're gonna have to do like a shrimp boil. Yeah. Put some corn and potatoes in there.
Yeah.
Dump it all out on a table with a plastic bag on it, and just go to town. I'm
over here fucking tripping that Tila didn't know what white man's burden was and didn't catch the whole fact that the Overlook Hotel was a temple to old racist white ghosts. That's what it was.
Old racist white ghosts.
Old racist white ghosts that were
pretty much
that ran the world. Rich motherfuckers.
Oracle's asking when the cookbook is coming out. That it's still. Yeah, you really need to. I've been trying to get you to work on it. I'm up to a point now where, like, almost all of the American section is done, and then there's like a couple of other like little sections that I need to get through. But I need you to come in and consult on it before I finalize all the shit.
T jumps in saying she just saw Predator.
Really?
In 2019. Hold on. Predator 2019. What are you talking about? Predator 2019. I don't know that one. She talking about Predators?
Maybe.
Okay.
We saw that in the theater, didn't we?
Yeah, Predators was in 2019.
It was that right?
Yeah, I liked it. I think that was more like 2014, wasn't it? 2012?
No, it wasn't that long ago. We saw that on the AMC thing, didn't we?
Oh, that one.
Yeah. That wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either.
Well, I mean,
Well,
I was expecting it to suck, so it was a nice surprise.
It wasn't as good as Predators.
That's true.
I liked Predators better.
I did too.
Yeah.
Zach said, I don't think I've ever had shrimp boil. Oh God, that sounds good.
God damn.
It is, yeah, man. When you can do shrimp.
Where's this fucking from? Where are you from, Zach?
You can put shrimp in there. You can put crawfish in there. You can put whole blue crabs in there. Yeah, and then you put in potatoes and corn. Corn on the cob. Mm-hmm. Throw in some Cajun seasoning. Put a whole cloves of garlic in there. Half lemons, onions.
Yeah.
You can put all kind of stuff in there. And you just boil it in a big ass pot.
Yeah, big pot, big 10-gallon pot.
And then you just dump it all out. Just most people will cover like a picnic table with newspaper like outside, and then you just kind of dump it all on there.
Cut open garbage bags.
Yeah. That's what we did though. Was we cut open garbage bags and put them on the table and just dumped everything out.
You just reach over and grab a potato
and then just eat it.
Throwing the shit over your shoulder.
I know, that's what I said in the book. I said you just eat it with your hands like a savage. It's super, super good though.
Yeah.
Although I like a little bit of finesse because I do like to put like some butter and shit like that on the corn. But yeah. So are you ready to talk about Flight 19 now?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
They're talking about Predator, but okay, go ahead.
Well, you can talk about Predator a little bit if you want to.
I can't believe that fucking Tina just saw Predator 1 and 2 recently. No, fucking Predator 1 is a fucking masterpiece, man. That's a masterpiece. One of the greatest movies of all times. If you say what's the best movie, for me, Predator 1.
Not Back to the Future?
No. Back to the Future is a perfect movie, but it's not the best movie. For me, personally, it's real close between Predator 1 and Terminator 1. And and that's it. I didn't like Terminator 2 that much. I didn't like none of the other just Terminator 1. Because it was a simple horror movie. Terminator 1, Predator 1, that's it. Now, Predator 2, that's good. Predators, better. The Predator 2019, it had moments where it could have been great. The edit wasn't right. There was a lot of stuff that was wrong with it. I would have edited a lot of that out.
Yeah.
The whole thing about the fucking Predator was not knowing what the goddamn Predator looked like. That was really what it was all about.
Well, yeah, and once you've blown that wad, you can't really make another one. Like, the sequel's not going to be as like, yep, seen it.
Right. And it only worked for that time, period. Because most aliens, creatures, the special effects, they didn't look realistic. With the exception of Alien 1 and 2, they looked pretty good. When that Predator took its mask off, when I saw it brand new in the theater, man, the entire theater just gasped. Because we didn't know
that makeup still looks kick-ass.
We didn't know that was possible. And then all of a sudden, when I was enjoying the movies. The first time I ever saw it, I was in Brazil at the time as a kid. Everybody was loving the fucking movie. I wasn't really sure what I was dealing with, though, until the mask came off the Predator and I saw its face and everybody gasped and I realized I'm watching probably one of the best movies ever made. I said, this is a fucking masterpiece. And then the way it ended, and I was just afterwards, I was just like, God. And it was it was weird because it was the 80s and I was young. It was almost normal to see this amount of greatness happening on the silver screen. I was getting spoiled, you know? And it did happen a couple times after that, but it never really was able to top those movies from the 80s and some of them from the 90s. You know what I mean? Like RoboCop 1, also a fucking masterpiece. And it has to do with, you know, how, I guess it has to do with how jaded the audiences are. Now you can show anybody anything. Imagery is just easy. You can do any kind of imagery you want. So it's not as impressive. It was always in the context of the time.
Yeah.
You know? But, no, in the context of the time, the best movie experience ever. Shit, it's hard to say. It would have been Predator 1, Terminator 1, Alien 1 and 2, and Blade Runner. That those were kind of like the coolest things you'd ever saw on film.
How about The Thing?
Oh, yeah, that one too.
I mean, that shit blew my mind when I saw it.
Right, and
80s,
all
the
of the
special effects in that.
And all of the Back to the Futures had a feeling of perfection to them, especially part 1. It felt really good to watch those. Now, there was a bunch of other movies. They weren't perfect, but they were fucking great. You know what I mean? Like the Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2. 3, not so much, but 1 and 2 were really good. A lot of the Eddie Murphy movies, I was right there for them. I was at the right time, the right place. I was the right generation for them. There was a lot of good shit out back in those days, but a lot of it I think had to do with the audiences.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, people are really spoiled for choice nowadays.
Right.
I mean, the thing about it is that there's so many, which in a way is good, like that the cost of making things has come down so much that, you know, there's so many good indie movies nowadays. So you can pretty much you could spend the rest of your life just watching, you know, particular movies that are kind of geared toward your particular tastes, and you would never run out of shit. You know what I mean? Like as far as series because sometimes I look at, because I kind of keep a running tally of just horror movies and series that I want to watch, and I will never live long enough to get through all of them. Never. Because there's still like a lot of classic shit I haven't seen yet too, and I try to keep up on that, and then I try to keep up on like horror fiction and shit like that. There's just no way that one person, but you know, and it sounds like I'm complaining, but I'm not. But I mean, there's just like so much good shit out there nowadays that in a way it's harder because you have to like go through a lot of crap to find a good shit. But there's just so much content out there that you would just never get to the end of it. You know what I mean? Yeah,
there's all kinds of cool comments in there. Yeah, Louis, 48 Hours was good too. So was the sequel. That was also good. They were trying to be kind of like hard-boiled fucking cop flicks, with Eddie Murphy as kind of lightening it up. They were good. Also, like I said, I liked fucking Golden Child too. That shit was fucking crazy. There's all kinds of crazy shit that was happening. Somebody else was saying that, I forgot who it was, that RoboCop was for satire. Yeah, it was for satire, but it didn't matter. Yeah. It was all just good. You know what I mean? The tone was right for the time. Yeah, you laughed at it, but, you know, it's just the way it was. Even some of the, most of the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies were low budget, but it didn't matter. They were fucking great, you know. When you were a kid watching them, in your teens, sometimes even early 20s, you know what I mean? You're fucking watching fucking Running Man, and what was the one where he goes to Mars? Fucking Total Recall. They were masterpieces of their time. Not as much as a masterpiece as Conan, though, you know. Fucking Conan the Barbarian. The first one was a masterpiece. The second one, not so much, but the first one was. Which is really sad. The second one could have been really good, but. Yeah, they cheaped out on it too. They wanted to dumb it down to a PG movie to try to get more kids to see it. Yeah. And they wanted to dumb it down and make it more budget friendly, because Dito De Laurentiis fucking Studios had really overspent and really fucked up its budget. Especially with shit like Dune and fucking Flash Gordon. They spent too much goddamn money on them. So They tried to make cash grab, low budget movies that were passable, towards that period. I was another one, man. I loved fucking the original Flash Gordon. I just thought that shit was sexy as shit. It was sexy Star Wars. I had drugs in it and sex in it and fucking hot fucking Princess Aura and shit like that.
I have to say I loved all the costumes and the set design in that.
The costumes were super expensive and they blew so much money on them. And then same with the fucking the old Dune. The new Dune's coming, but we'll see. The old Dune fucking was a trip too. It was another time.
I told him yesterday I was I went to visit my sister and my brother, and I was in downtown Orlando, and there's a place there called Park Avenue CDs, which has all like old vinyl and it has like all kind of books and toys, and it's like a really cool place. And I was in there and I told him I saw a vinyl pop figure of Paul Atreides from the original Dune, the David Lynch one, and it was super cute. I almost bought it for you, but I was just like, well, maybe not. But they had a lot of cool ones, and that was my favorite one. That stuck out.
So many good movies being mentioned, down the comment. Tremors and oh yeah, I know. Near Dark.
Man, I love Tremors.
Yep.
Near Dark, we really need to do a retrospective on that. Have you ever seen it?
I never seen it.
Oh, it's good. It's vampire,
movies.
but it has like a Western kind of. You know what I mean?
Maybe I have seen it.
Catherine Bigelow directed it. She won an Oscar later.
Lethal Weapon and Die Hard. That's right, Louis. Lethal Weapon and Die Hard were fucking great. Now you motherfuckers gonna get me talking about that. Okay. Die Hard 1 was a fucking masterpiece. Die Hard 2 was pretty good. The rest of them was Now Lethal Weapon. I have them all. They're not. It's a good series. What I liked about Lethal Weapon, all in all, when all the movies were done, it was a series that was about friendship. It was all about friendship between dudes, no matter what their imperfections were. So they were good movies, all of them. Although out of them all, the first and the second one were the fucking best. Just. It's hard to do a movie 3 and 4, you know what I mean? By then,
like I said, and pretty much any franchise is going to run out of gas.
It kind of run out of
that
gas.
time period. Because, like I said, when everybody sees the first movie, everybody's like, woo, this is like something new and cool, and look at this character, and we love this. And then the second one, people are like, okay, yay, this is still the same people, and then by the third one, it's like, all right, we're sick of this shit now.
The only series that didn't run out of gas was Phantasm. Phantasm got stronger as it went.
I like all the Phantasm.
Yeah.
Which is very strange.
Phantasm
I've watched all of them.
Stronger as it went.
I mean, they all had Reg, and I fucking love Reg. So,
yeah. Well, that was a labor of love, where it was a guy who was making a movie that he was starring in, and he was creating his own cinematic universe.
I mean, I love how weird this shit is. I just love it.
It's fucking weird, yeah. Created his own cinematic.
Somebody said we should do a retrospective on Silent Rage, which that's pretty much the only Chuck Norris movie that I like, because it's like a horror movie, like it's a serial killer movie essentially. So yeah, I might do that at some point. Zach was saying one of his favorite movies is Clute, with Jane Fonda and Donald Sutherland was in that. I think I saw that a long time ago, and I remember liking it a lot. I saw it on cable back in the day.
Zach said James Bond is still going strong. Yeah, that's true. That's true too. But that's been going on for a long time, and the stars have changed. It's been rebooted many times.
Well, the thing about James Bond is that it's not. I mean, it is a continuing story, but he's just like a recurring character that you can put in all kinds of different situations.
It's been rebooted many times. Yeah. Too, really, one of the best James Bonds was Living Daylights, and that guy was only in one of those. What was his name?
That wasn't Timothy Dalton, was it?
Yeah, I think it was Timothy Dalton. It was Timothy Dalton, and he was only in Living Daylights, and that was a good one.
That's right. He was only in one, wasn't he?
Only in one.
Who was the other dude that was in?
After that, it was
like Tomorrow. What's the fucking?
Yeah,
what's
it was the other guy.
Shit, man, now I can't remember. Somebody.
He was good too, but there was something about Timothy Dalton. Timothy Dalton had kind of a little bit of a harder edge to him, and he was kind of like the guy they got now. What's his name? Fucking shit. Who's James Bond now?
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig. He was kind of like the first version of a Daniel Craig type James Bond, which was supposed to be closer to the books.
Yeah, so Louis said there were 2 Timothy Dalton ones because he was also in License to Kill.
Oh, was he? Okay.
That's what Oracle said.
Yeah.
Tila asked if I had seen 10 to Midnight, the serial killer movie with Charles Bronson. Yes, I have, but it was a very long time ago. I remember like really liking it, but
I got to get those Timothy Dalton ones. I don't have them.
Yeah.
I got to get them. I saw the very first one, Timothy Dalton one, and I saw it in Brazil when I was a kid, and I liked it. But I have to see it again. I don't know how it. I don't remember how it aged. I don't know how it's aged. I remember it being kind of hardcore compared to the Roger Moore, because I was coming out of the Roger Moore era, which I liked those too. But they're
real silly.
They were kind of almost like Star Wars movies in
Yeah.
a way. You know what I mean? Where it was big and crazy. You know. And, dude comes out of fucking scuba diving from a sewer, and he comes out in a fucking tuxedo and can walk right in and play fucking, you know what I mean? Playing at the fucking casino and shit. Nobody smells him. I mean, it wasn't realistic at all. But it was James Bond,
Well, yeah.
Zorin Industries. And fucking, you know what I mean? You had fucking old, what's her name? Fucking, shit, what was her name? Black chick, fucking rock star.
Grace Jones.
Grace Jones, yeah. Grace's skinny ass. She'd be fucking running around like an assassin, jumping off the top of the Eiffel Tower. It was crazy, you know what I mean? Duran was there watching and everything. This fucking old Bond was fucking crazy.
I love that song, I have to say.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Duran anyway.
Roger Moore trying to be sexy as fuck at 60 in his fucking... chasing a 23-year-old girls, you know what I mean? It's just fucking unrealistic. I kind of feel like
that's pretty common in movies of that type.
It's just unrealistic as shit.
It's like this old grandpa. running after like this 23-year-old woman.
Nothing ever happened.
That normally, just, like in real life, she'd be like, "Ew,
get the fuck with me, grandpa." Yeah.
You're like my grandpa's age. That's super gross.
That was fucking James Bond. That was fantasy.
Yeah.
Wasn't my fantasy, it was somebody else's fantasy. But
that's like the dads that are watching. Yeah, that's like their fantasy. I could totally score a 23-year-old fucking Bond girl, sure.
Yeah. Well, I was a fucking teenager watching it, chirping out on it. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Does that actually happen? You know.
No. That's your answer right now. No.
No.
All right. So, can we talk about Flight 19?
Yeah, let's talk about Flight 19.
Are you sure?
You can talk about it.
Because as soon as I start talking about it, you're going to start talking about something else.
Looks like the audience is ready for it. Everybody's going good. Got people in there.
I still got time. It's only 7:21.
Okay, good.
So I still got a while before I have to do the other show. And this is the last drink that I'm having, and it's a weak one. So I'll have time to chill out in between. All right. So we're talking about the mysterious disappearance of Flight 19. This was probably also on Unsolved Mysteries, maybe.
Hold on one second.
See, I knew it. I knew it.
Sheila says Timothy Dalton wasn't so good looking. Other people are going, well, he was in, most people are thinking he was in 2 of them. I thought he was in 1. Timothy Dalton wasn't good looking because James Bond wasn't supposed to be good looking. He wasn't that good looking, according to the books. But
I don't think I've read any of the James Bond books. I mean, I feel like I probably did at some point, but maybe it didn't really make much of an impression.
No, he was supposed to fucking be all beat up looking, and he was drunk most of the time. They were pulling him out of the damn gutter, fucking, and sobered him up to go on these missions all the time. He was beat up, fucking. So I actually think Daniel Craig is the closest to the way he was described in the book. With Daniel Craig, that's my favorite James Bond. Just saying, sorry people.
Probably mine too. I gotta say.
Daniel Craig is my favorite.
I mean, Sean Connery is good too, but
Daniel Craig.
Those are so dated that.
And Daniel Craig's getting a little too old for the role. I want to see the new movie coming out, but I haven't really heard good things about it. The 3 or 4 that are already out. The last one was Spectre. I liked it, but that was a good time to end that him being Bond. I think he's just getting a little long in the tooth. He is supposed to be kind of older. But it comes to a point to where, you know what I mean, you go like, dude, you're not in shape enough to do what they're showing you doing, you know what I mean? When he first started, he was doing parkour and shit, and fucking running around and jumping, chasing dudes down. If you haven't seen the Daniel Craig James Bonds, check them out. Especially Casino Royale, the first one. That was my favorite one. The second one,
I think Skyfall was my favorite.
Skyfall was real good.
Of the Daniel
I
Craig
liked them
ones.
all. I liked them all. I liked them all. some people said, well, Quantum of Solace wasn't that good. I liked Quantum of Solace.
I liked it too, but I think it was the weakest one.
It was the weakest one, but I still liked it. It had paranormal references about guys hearing the fucking voices of their mother warning them about the drought. Weird shit was happening. There was some shit. There's a lot of shit that's kind of true, showing the elites in an opera talking to each other with a big eye of Sauron, and how they were fucking forming Spectre. It was just basically just a cabal of rich people who were fucking using the world's governments, and they had bought up the world's governments so they could run fucking organized crime like child trafficking and human trafficking, and using fucking big tech to fucking spy on people. It was all that shit was like yeah, it sounds like what you got now. I liked them all, but they're holding back on this fifth one that's made, but they won't show it. And the rumor is that they're not showing it because, first of all, they'll lose their ass if they release it. Two, some people are saying they might have to reshoot it again because it didn't age too well since all what's happened in the past fucking election. So, we'll see.
Fourth Drawer Down says, in one of the books, Bond lights his 80th cigarette of the day.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Man, who can afford all those cigarettes? Holy crap.
The Bond from the books was a hardcore motherfucker. He was not a pretty boy, and he wasn't Roger Moore. All right. When I was a little kid, the Bond that I did with was Roger Moore, and it was silly to me. It was like Superman, old Superman.
Yeah, those were a little goofy.
It's just goofy shit. It just wasn't. It was like something out of Cannonball Run or something.
Cannonball Run.
You remember Cannonball Run?
Yeah. I saw that many times.
Yeah.
The first one and the second one, because it was a sequel. I still, you know what? I've seen Cannonball Run so many times that I probably still know all the words to Eastbound and Down.
Yeah.
How sad is that? But rolling up and trucking. So anyway, can I please talk about Flight 19
it's time.
now?
Let's get the case.
Are you sure?
Get the case rolling.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Are you sure?
I'm ready.
I'm gonna get burned again. I know it.
No, you're not gonna get burned. I'm ready.
Yes, I am.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna start talking, and then he's gonna go. Oh, wait.
No,
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, Flight 19. This happened December 5th, 1945. Now, again, this was just like in the case of the Ghost Blimp. This was pretty much just a routine exercise. This was actually a training exercise. So, Flight 19 actually consisted of 5 Avenger torpedo bombers. And they were going out on like a practice bombing run. And as I said, this is December 1945. So they took off from the Naval Air Station in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Now, the exercise was supposed to take 3 hours, and it was known as Navigation Problem Number 1. So basically what they were supposed to do was they were supposed to fly east away from the Florida coast, and then they were going to drop some practice bombs at this place called, I love the name of this, called Hens and Chickens Shoals, right? So they're going to drop practice bombs over there. Then they were supposed to turn to the north, and then they were going to fly over Grand Bahama Island, and then they were going to turn toward the southwest and fly back to base. So they're kind of going out in a sort of triangular motion. They're just going out, and it's kind of like a navigation exercise, because like you mentioned earlier, they didn't have like all the really fancy fucking navigation shit back then that we have. They had compasses, and that was about it.
They didn't have it even in my time.
Yeah.
Okay, we had to do land navigation through fucking map and compass, in all terrain, all weather, at all hours. And it's fucking hard to do in the dark, especially when visibility is only fucking 5 meters in front of you because you're in a thicket. So it was done with a pace count and everything, it was fucking rough. To get into Special Forces or fucking do well in fucking Army Rangers, you had to be a master at land navigation. It involved an amount of luck, but it also involved an amount of endurance, because they usually did this shit to you when you weren't well rested, you were fucking tired as shit, and you were doing all kinds of other stuff long before they ever put you on these goddamn fucking field problems. It's called a field problem. They call it a problem. It's a problem.
Yeah, navigation problem number 1.
That's so it's a navigational test.
Yeah.
And aviation navigation. I can tell you right now, here's the problem. You got a compass. It's in the plane. No GPS. Shit poor visibility. Because there's nothing to see. You're over the ocean. So there's no land navigational features to help you orient yourself. So I already can tell this is going to suck. Go ahead.
Well, you know what happens.
I know what happens. It's going to suck. Yeah.
So like I said, a bunch of different squadrons had done the same. This was, like you said, it was a test exercise.
Yeah.
Basically, it was a navigation exercise. You're supposed to go out to this particular spot, drop a bunch of test bombs, and then find your way back to the base. That's what you're supposed to do. It wasn't nighttime or anything like that. It was afternoon. It was like around 2 o'clock in the afternoon when they first took off. Like I said, it was 5 planes. 4 of the planes had 3 dudes in each of the 4 planes, and then there was a 5th plane that only had 2 dudes. Now, these were all Marines or Navy guys.
I think they're all in Dauntlesses, right? The name of the plane is, I think it might be a Dauntless.
TBM Avenger was the name.
Avengers,
they were
okay.
a torpedo bomber. Yeah.
I know.
That's what all the planes were.
All right.
Now, these were all, as far as I know, everybody that was involved in Flight 19 was, quite experienced. They all had at least 300 hours of flight time, if not much more. The leader of the expedition, or the flight leader, was Lieutenant Charles C. Taylor. He was an experienced pilot and had been on several combat missions in World War II's Pacific Theater. Now, so they all take off, as I said, a little after 2 in the afternoon from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Now, the first leg went completely smoothly. Now, like I said, they called this Flight 19 because I believe there had been 18 other flights that day who were doing the same thing or similar things, because like I said, it was a navigation exercise. So this was just something that they did all the time. So they take off. They get to Hens and Chickens Shoals at around 2:30 p.m. and drop their practice bombs just like they were supposed to. Now, then they turned north, which was supposed to be the second part of the flight, and then something kind of weird started happening. Now, at this stage, Taylor, who was the flight commander, he started thinking, for whatever reason, that the compass on board his plane was malfunctioning. He might have even had 2 compasses on there. I think I've seen some things that said he had 2 compasses and he thought they were both not working. I don't know. But for some reason, he got the idea in his head that the compass wasn't working. So he thought that all the planes were now flying in the wrong direction. So why he became convinced of that, I'm not entirely sure. No one's entirely sure. But he did. Now, shortly after this happened, the weather started to deteriorate. A front came in. There was like some heavy winds. There was some rain, like some heavy cloud cover, shit like that. Now, at this point, and they still have a lot of the radio transmissions from dudes that were on this flight, like while this shit was all going wrong. It seems that they all started becoming disoriented and they weren't really sure where they were anymore, which is a little weird.
Yeah,
so,
I think I remember this, though.
Yeah. So over the radio, one of them says, "I don't know where we are. We must have got lost after that last turn." Right?
Yeah. Now, should I jump in?
If you want to.
Okay. If I remember correctly, there were some other people that were involved in this case that I can kind of give some more details than what this written account is saying. From what I remember, maybe you'll correct me later on. As they were flying out on this leg, they flew over a chain of small islands. And when that happened, for some reason or another, the flight leader misinterpreted that chain of islands in a way where he thought it was another chain of islands.
Yeah, well, that happened later. That's what I was just about to talk about.
Okay, all right.
So
it was the islands that really fucked him up.
Although, like I said, before he had a visual of that, he actually became convinced, for whatever reason, no one really knows why, that his compass was malfunctioning.
Yeah.
So he somehow became convinced that they were flying in the wrong direction.
Yeah, easy to do. It sounds crazy, but I've been there. I've done that. It's very easy to do. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so basically, somebody said there was another dude a Navy flight instructor named Lieutenant Robert Cox. And he heard some of their shit over the radio, right? Because he was flying around kind of in the area. Now, he basically said, because he heard the person that said, we must have got lost after that last turn. Like, we don't know where we are. So this guy overheard it. So he radioed into the air station. And then he contacted the Avengers, the planes, and asked them if they needed help. At this stage, Taylor, who was the flight commander, he says to this guy, both my compasses are out, and I'm trying to find Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And supposedly his voice sounded he sounded very anxious, as you would if you didn't really know where you were.
He was spooked.
And he says, I'm over land, but it's broken. I'm sure I'm in the Keys, but I don't know how far down.
Yeah, he's wrong.
Now, this is very weird because they had only been out like an hour at this point.
No way to get to the Keys.
So there would have been no way for him to be over the Keys. So why he thought he was over the Keys, I'm not entirely... Because if you don't know, like Florida, like the Keys are like way off the bottom of the state. So you would have been like more than 200 miles
saw terrain
off of course.
He saw terrain features that he thought were the Keys. That's what's happening.
He
saw terrain features that made him think he was over the Keys 200 miles away. Not possible. No. He hadn't been flying long
Not
enough.
In the time allotted.
He hadn't been flying long enough, but he was disoriented. Now, let me ask you this. I don't know if you fucking found this information out. How old is this pilot? Because if I remember...
27.
There you go. Okay. He's relatively young. He's probably the oldest guy there, but this is a young man. Okay. Just letting you guys know that. He probably hasn't been flying all that long. A couple of years, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, they were all fairly experienced. They weren't, they weren't noobs.
Still, a couple of years is nothing compared to 20 or 30 years.
Well, sure.
All right. These guys are young guys. And fucking internal combustion fucking piston-powered fucking propeller planes. Way back in another era before fucking GPS and stuff. Flying was done kind of by gut, by feel. You had instruments, but you couldn't trust them. And that's fucking really where all this shit comes from. These instruments, the airspeed, the altitude, the compasses and everything, these were all analog instruments in a very primitive aircraft. And I think he started really questioning the readings of his instruments. He didn't trust them. Because a lot of times they weren't real trustworthy. Quality of them wasn't that good. So I can kind of put myself in this position. When I was going across the damn causeway, I felt like the whole fucking world was spinning. And I got that fucking car across that causeway just by making sure that the fucking yellow dotted line kept hitting that right fucking side of the damn hood of the car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I walked myself across that fucking 15, 20 miles of causeway just by looking at the dotted line, making sure it was in the same spot. Because I felt like I was spinning out of control.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. But go ahead. His visual, what he's seeing is not matching up with what he had planned in his head. And it's fucking sending him crazy. Go ahead.
Yeah, so basically, like I said, for some reason he thinks he's over the Keys.
Yeah.
Which is essentially impossible because less than an hour earlier he'd been over Hens and Chickens Shoals, which is in the Bahamas, and if you didn't know.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, he's panicked.
And yeah, clearly.
Right.
So as I said, he would have had to have been more than 200 miles.
Yeah, he's
off course, which there's just no way that could have happened.
He's having almost kind of like a mini out-of-body experience because there's a lot of pressure on him. He's trying to lead this flight, and he's panicked because it didn't go as he expected, and he's lost his orientation in space and time. He's lost track of how long he's been flying, too. Which I can understand it, but that's a scary feeling.
Another thing, though, is that here's the thing. So some people said, yes, he was 27, which, that's pretty young. He wasn't inexperienced, but, he was fairly young still. Now, he had just transferred to Fort Lauderdale from Miami. So some people said, oh, well, maybe he doesn't really know, like, the difference between the Bahamas and the Keys, but I don't know if people that are not from Florida have, like, wrote that, because Miami and Fort Lauderdale are only, like, a few miles from one another. You know what I'm saying? Fort Lauderdale is only 30, 40, 50 miles up the East Coast from Miami. I mean, they're not that far apart. So it's not like he was coming from a totally other part of the state or another part of the country and didn't know what the fuck. So, like, when I read that, it was like he'd just been transferred to Fort Lauderdale from Miami. I'm like, those two places are not that far apart. So I don't really know, like, why that would be significant. I don't know. But whatever. So, so they're thinking, oh, well, maybe he mistook some of the Bahamas Islands for the Keys because he'd never seen the Keys before. I don't really know. Now, the stupid thing about this, here's what happens. Like, when pilots become disoriented, and apparently they teach you this, you know, they taught every single fucking pilot this. They said, look, if you ever become disoriented, you know, at least in the Atlantic Ocean, obviously, they're like, then just turn toward the setting sun, clearly, because that's west, and that will lead you back toward land eventually, because that's where the land is. If you're in the Atlantic, it's to the west. So just follow the setting sun. And like I said, this was afternoon. So that's kind of all he would have had to do, was kind of wait until he could see like where the sun was sinking toward the horizon. And he should have just flown back toward that direction. But for some reason, he didn't really do that. The thing about it is that, he thought he was over the Keys, and then he thought he was in the Gulf of Mexico. So he shouldn't go farther west because then he would be fucking in Mexico or Texas or whatever. And I don't know. Like, I just don't know how he could have gotten this. I know how he could have gotten disoriented, like, to start with, but it just seemed like he kept compounding the disorientation.
He was under a lot of pressure.
Sure.
And he started to panic. And he started to fucking lose his place in fucking space and time. You know what I mean? He didn't realize how... He lost track of how long he was flying and what direction he was flying in. He became totally disoriented.
Yeah.
It was panic is what it was.
Yeah.
Which I've kind of been there before during land navigation with compass. And you know what I mean? Pace count. You'll be like, well, you'll lose track of how many paces you took. And you go like, wait a minute, hold on. How many paces was that? How far out am I? Where am I? Especially if you're fucking tired.
Yeah.
If you're tired and you're under a lot of fucking stress and you're tired. It's easy to lose track and to forget how long you've been doing something.
Yeah.
20 minutes, you know, maybe you were doing it 20 minutes, but it seems like it was about 2 or 3 hours. Because you didn't know where you were going. You know what I mean? So it kind of stretches it out.
Yeah.
That's what's happening to him. I know.
So basically, so he thought, I guess, that he had flown down over the Keys.
Yeah.
And was now over the Gulf of Mexico. So he thought, I need to turn back toward the northeast.
Yeah.
To go back to Florida.
Yeah.
That's what he thought, I guess.
He's he's afraid of failing in the mission. He's got his guys fucking dependent on him, and the pressure's getting to him.
And the shitty thing too is that, so he basically said, and he was the flight commander, so they all had to listen to what he had to say. He's like, no, we need to turn back northeast because that's the way that Florida is.
Yeah.
And somebody else, one of the other pilots, was heard to say, damn it, if we would just fly west, we would get home.
He knew it was up.
Which they would have.
Yep.
Which is really sad. But because Taylor was the flight commander, they all just did what he said.
Right.
Even though some of them knew that they weren't
going the right way.
Weren't going the right way, but they just did what he said.
Right.
So that's really sad.
So there was a lack of communication between the team. That guy should have said, hey, Commander, I know you're confused. This is what happened. We went this way for this amount of time and this way for another amount. All we have to do, we are lost, but all we have to do is fucking head in this heading and we'll hit land. There's no other choice.
Well, so the thing about it, apparently...
It's something real simple, but he was panicked.
Yeah, apparently they did actually talk him into flying west for a little while.
Yeah.
But then... I guess it was just like a little past 6 p.m. and he hadn't seen land yet.
So he panicked
again. And he said, no, never mind. We're going back the other way. He says, and like I said, they have the radio transmissions of this. He says, we didn't go far enough east. He still thought he was in the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah. We may as well just turn around and go east again. That's what he said. And
they were like, no.
And the other pilots, I guess some of them kind of argued. Like I said, some of the recordings are kind of garbled and stuff.
It was time to mutiny, but they didn't.
And that's kind of sad. I mean, they'd probably still be alive. And Now it has been said that one of the planes like broke off and flew in another direction because they were like, fuck this. I'm just like, I'm not going because we're going to die.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's like, confirmed or not, because like I said, they never found anybody. But most of them were like, okay, fine. So they turned back toward the east again. So at this point, spoiler alert, they were still out in the Atlantic. So they were basically had turned toward the east. So they were going farther. Thank you.
Okay, that's a question.
Completely unrelated. Chiefs or Bucks?
It sounds like fucking...
Is that sports ball stuff?
Dude, sports ball. Why are you asking us sports ball?
I don't know anything about
Neither.
sports
That's
ball.
a dying business. That's a dying business. Neither.
I didn't know anything about it back in the old days.
Yeah. It's a dying... That's like some shit my dad was into. Nobody watches that anymore.
But yeah, so basically what ended up happening was he thought he was in the Gulf, so he's like, oh, I'm going to turn back this way and go back to Florida. But he was still out in the Atlantic, so he's like, no, I'm going to turn back this way. No, I'm going way out into the fucking Atlantic Ocean. That's what was happening.
Poor guys.
So, yeah, so it's like really shitty. So, maybe one plane broke off, but they're not entirely sure because, like I said, spoiler alert, they all got lost. But most of them did what he said. Now, at this point, they were still getting radio transmissions, but they started to get kind of fainter and fainter, obviously, because he was going out into the middle of the fucking Atlantic Ocean. And then their fuel, obviously, is starting to run out.
Yeah.
And at this point, one of the last transmissions they got, they heard Taylor saying, all planes close up tight. We'll have to ditch unless landfall. When the first plane drops below 10 gallons, we all go down together. That was the last radio transmission from... Isn't that creepy? Yeah. Well, here's the thing about it. What I've seen like some kind of more paranormal shows like do stuff about Flight 19, and I've noticed that they've added a lot of radio transmissions. Like everything looks strange, even the water looks strange. That was not any part of the official. That was made up later. Yeah. They didn't say anything like that. So
no,
I'm just saying
it was just a navigational error because flight leader got fucking disoriented and all that pressure on him. He didn't want to fucking make a mistake, and he wasn't, which it's caused him to be impatient. That's really what it was. And they were losing track of how the distances they were going, or the time. You know what I mean? The time that had elapsed and the fucking direction. I can understand how it would happen.
Kiernot says, dang, that's a spooky transmission. It is spooky.
Yeah, I can understand.
We all go down together. That was the last thing they heard.
No, but I'm going to tell you something, people. I've seen the same kind of shit go down in land navigation courses on the ground in the Army. It's the same problem. For these guys, it's even harder because there's no terrain features. There's nothing to look at. They're looking down the ground, you see waves. The only terrain feature would be the position of the sun. And if you don't trust your compass and you're not really sure where you are and you've had some kind of mental lapse and you think that you somehow ended up in the Gulf of Mexico, which would have been impossible, he's tripping. Because you'd have to fly hours over land before you'd ever end up in the fucking Gulf of Mexico. He was just tripping and he panicked.
Yeah, obviously.
And then he had a wing of fucking fighter bombers with him, or torpedo bombers with him, who were dependent on him, and they trusted what he said, and just followed orders. Which, in a case like this, no, you don't follow orders.
Yeah, I'd be like, fuck that, I'm not.
But they all might have been pretty green, you know. I'd have been talking to him and said, Commander, what's going on now? No, that's not what's happening. But you see, he didn't want anybody usurping command from him, making him look bad, so it's an additional pressure on him. But he was a fucked up commander. He should have said, guys, I kind of lost track of where we're going.
Do you guys know?
Do you guys know? Yeah.
Help me out here.
I would have worded it a different way. I was saying, like, I'm getting disoriented. Where are we? Where do you guys think we are? I would have said some shit like that.
You would think that would be, like, the most obvious thing. Because if he thought that his compasses were not working...
Yeah.
you would think, well, the other planes, their compasses were
Right,
probably
you would
working,
ask what their
presumably.
reading
So it's like, well,
compasses
what's your reading? I
Right.
can't trust mine. I think that it's
Right.
malfunctioning. So what do you guys? Let's take a vote. And what do you?
Yeah.
Where do you guys think we are? I mean, that
was-
seems like the most obvious.
There was a lot of pressure on him, though, I think, to look competent. So he was afraid to communicate with them and start asking questions. But that's not how you inspire confidence in a team. You inspire more confidence if you fucking say, "Are we headed the right way? Because my compass says this, and we've been flying a long time."
That's
and
all you had to
nothing's
say.
happened."
I don't think my compass is
Is your
functioning
compass good?
correctly.
And you're like,
Is your compass functioning?
Right.
Where do you think
and
we
then
are?
he said, "How long we been flying? We've been flying for 45 minutes." Well, shit, we should be over it by now. It should have been. You talk to people like that.
Yeah.
But I think he was a little uptight.
I mean, they're a team.
You're a team. And that's how it always was. You know what I mean? The reason why it was so hard during an army fucking land navigation course is you were on your own. You weren't. So there was no one to ask.
Right.
You had a grader behind you, basically, with clipboard and shit, fucking grading you. So you couldn't ask him shit. But if you were in a team, you'd shit, man. Fucking.
Well, especially if somebody fucks up and you all crash and die.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd think that, somebody better speak up.
Right. And if as long as the communication was good, like, we've been heading on this course for how long, people? 35 minutes? Well, shit, we should be seeing it by now, huh? You see it? I don't see it. Where is it? And you go, well, we'll keep looking. There ain't no way we could have been in the fucking Gulf of Mexico. The other guys would be like, hell no, we would have been flying over land for 2 hours. Yeah, it's got to be around here somewhere. You know what I mean? There was a bunch of shit he should have done.
Yeah.
But I'm critiquing the decisions of a dead man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then all the other dudes that he fucking, I don't want to say he killed them. They're kind of fucking partially fucking responsible because they didn't speak up and start going, no, this isn't right. Which means that either they were too fucking cowardly to say anything against the guy, or they themselves weren't keeping track. And
Yeah, maybe they didn't know where they were.
They
either.
might have just been fucking relying on him to fucking do the navigation and not really keeping track of what the fuck they were doing. We'll just follow him. Which I wouldn't do that. And
well,
you see,
no, not if my life was on the line.
no, and a torpedo bomber had a crew of two. You had a fucking pilot, and you had a guy in the back who was like a tail gunner.
One of the planes had 2 guys. The other planes had 3 guys.
Oh, the other guys had 3 guys, right?
Yeah.
So that's plenty of dudes to start talking.
Yeah.
You know.
But yeah, so
it was a navigational error and bad leadership.
Yeah, big time.
What it was.
So basically, after that creepy last transmission where he said, we all go down together, a couple minutes after that, all the radio communications just went to static. Yeah. So, and here's what's shitty about this too. So the Navy, they started sending out search planes to look for them. Now, around 7:30 p.m., there was another pair of planes, like PBM Mariner flying boats. There was a pair of them. And they took off from Fort Lauderdale or just north of Fort Lauderdale. Now, the creepy thing about this is that one of the planes that went to look for them, 20 minutes after it took off, it vanished off the radar. And they never found the remains of the plane or the 13 dudes that were on it. So they even sent a plane up to look for these dudes, and that plane also disappeared.
Yeah. Got lost.
Now, some people, as far as I know, most people speculate they think probably that plane exploded because even though they never found the wreckage and they never found any bodies of any of the 13 crewmen, but they did find those particular types of flying boats were this is terrible, but they were actually kind of prone to blowing up in the air. So much so that they were called flying gas tanks. Mm-hmm. Which, why would you want to fly in that? I don't know. But apparently they were kind of like, hey, those things just blow up in the sky all the time, So they think maybe that's what's happened, what happened to that one. Because I guess there were some people on a merchant ship that said that they had seen something in the sky, like blowing up. And so they just presumed that it was that, even though they didn't, find any wreckage of it or anything. But yeah, so that's another thing is like those 13 dudes got lost looking for the first set of dudes.
Yeah.
Because that fucking plane blew up, presumably.
All right, Michael Schaefer's going like, well, shit. He said, so the guys in this flight who thought he was wrong followed him anyway. Hell, dead. Hell, you die or be court-martialed. I'm going to be court-martialed. They wouldn't have even been court-martialed. If you knew how to fucking talk, the talk, you would say, our flight commander was fucked up. He didn't know where the hell he was going. You know, I tried to lead the fucking the wing back. Nobody would follow me, so they followed him to the death. And I knew we were going in the wrong way. I just had to do what I could to salvage my crew in the damn back seat.
That's how you would play it. Obviously,
that's how you tell that. You go, he wasn't right. He was wrong. I did my own calculations. There's no way. And
he wouldn't listen to me.
Yeah, he wouldn't listen to me. And they all died. They listened to his ass. And they wouldn't punish you.
No, I'm sure they wouldn't.
Because you've come back with your plane and your crew. And those dudes never came back.
Yep.
And then this story that we have here never would have happened. Because shit like that actually did happen. Well, that fuck were crazy. He didn't know where he was going. I'm back.
Yeah.
That's happened before.
Yeah.
Just you haven't heard about it.
So basically, like I said, so they had one plane went out to look for them, and that blew up and killed 13 people, presumably, even though they were never found. Next morning, the Navy sent out 300 boats and air and planes and shit like that to look for any trace of the planes or any trace of the people. And they spent 5 days searching through over 300,000 square miles of the fucking shit, and they found nothing. Not a fucking piece of a plane, not a piece of a life jacket, nothing. They found nothing.
Ditched in the water.
They just disappeared.
They ditched in the water, they bobbed in the water for a day or so and died.
Pretty creepy. Yeah. I mean, they looked over water, they looked over land, and as far as I know, to this day, they have not found any single trace of any of the planes or any of the people.
They're under there.
I mean, I'm sure it's there, but they just haven't found them. So it's basically they're still
missing.
They're just missing. Cause is unknown. That's all they know.
Navigational error. Poor
now,
leadership.
Obviously, so this particular case, during the 1960s and 1970s, it became kind of one of the, because when you had all those kind of paranormal writers like Charles Berlitz and all them, when they were writing stuff about the Bermuda Triangle, this was one of their kind of, crown jewel cases. Yeah. Because this did happen in, what's popularly known as the Bermuda Triangle. So this was kind of one of the ones that they hyped up. So, like I said, this was on all those creepy paranormal shows about the Bermuda Triangle and shit. This was always one of the main cases that they talked about. And it's kind of it's all this creepy shit happened. And like I said, all the shit about the transmissions of him talking about how strange the sky and the water looked and everything like that, that was a later edition. I think that was a later edition from some of these kind of more paranormal writers that were trying to make it seem like it was an alien abduction or something like that. So he's like, we're going into another dimension or something like that. Nah. He didn't say any of that stuff.
Although I did kind of feel like I was going into another dimension driving across that damn causeway and fucking felt everything fucking spinning. But if they didn't report that, then that effect wasn't happening to them, but they were lost. They were lost. Yeah, I think basically what happened, and the thing too is that what they found out later was that, interestingly, and I think I mentioned Close Encounters of the Third Kind that kind of talked about this as well. Yeah. But like I said, this was a really famous story, particularly in all the paranormal literature in the 60s and 70s. But one thing that they found out later from witness testimony was that the flight commander, Charles Taylor, he actually, there might have been something to the fact that he was having some kind of problems or he wasn't feeling very well that day, because they said he turned up to the pre-flight briefing kind of late, not super late, but they were so it ended up the flight left 10 minutes later or 15 minutes later than it was supposed to, because he turned up late. And he also asked his superior officer
if he could be excused from leading the mission.
Yeah.
Like witnesses said, I just don't want to take this one out. That's what he supposedly
So he was already
was
not
overheard
feeling
to
good
say.
about it.
So I don't know. Like he didn't give a reason or anything, but I don't know if he was hungover or if he was sick or if he just wasn't feeling it that day, or I don't really know.
I remember hearing a story from one of these more skeptical programs that said that entire fucking wing, that entire flight, had been out the night before fucking drinking their fucking asses off. And that they were all kind of hungover. Which that kind of makes a little more sense. Because they weren't really at the top of their game. And they were just kind of shamming through this thing.
And maybe he kind of knew. He's like, man, I don't really feel all that good. I don't really feel up to it.
Right. And they were just all dependent on him to get them through it. Because they were kind of shamming. They didn't get much sleep. And they were kind of hungover. And like, oh man, I don't want to be here. It was like that kind of shit.
I don't want to do this shit today.
I don't want to do this shit, man.
I know that feeling.
And I think that right there, they weren't really on top of the game. Because by the time they realize they're in trouble, they go, wait a minute, hold on, we're lost? Where are we? Oh, you don't know where we are? How long have we been flying? What direction? Nobody really knows? We're fucked.
Yeah, oh goody.
We're fucked. Because I wasn't paying attention. And it might have been that. Because fucking, I seen that before in the infantry. They're like, oh shit, wait a minute, hold on, what are we doing? Oh man, fuck this. But you see, they were in a much more serious position than we were in, because they're flying in a fucking expensive airplane over the ocean at 200 and something miles an hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With a limited fuel supply, and you're not really sure where you are. It's a lot easier to get lost in those conditions, whether you're just fucking walking out in the back 40.
Yeah.
Because if you really get fucking lost, you're like, fuck it, I'm going to get something to eat and wait right here. They'll find me.
Yeah, I mean, when you're in a plane over the ocean, you don't really have that option.
right.
Like, at some point, I'm going to run out of gas, and then I'm just going to go, like, right into the
So the stakes were a lot higher. And that's why dude didn't want to lead the flight. Because I remember that, now that you mentioned that he didn't really want to lead the flight. They were fucking hungover.
Yeah, or for some reason, he just wasn't feeling it that day, and he did actually try to get out of it, but apparently they told him no.
Wasn't this like on a Monday or a Sunday?
I'm not really sure, actually. The blimp thing was on a Sunday.
If we know the exact day, I'm going to tell you whether or not those bitches were fucking hungover.
Well, I can give you the date. You can look it up.
Okay.
On a calendar.
No.
The date was... Well, you don't have time for that. Like, what do you... It was December 5th, 1945. Now, it was afternoon, though, when they went out. So it wasn't, like, early in the morning. Because I feel like the blimp thing, that was, like, 6 in the morning, like, on a Sunday. You know?
Hold on one second. I'm going to look up.
Another thing, too,
okay, hold on. December 5th.
December 5th, 1945.
Okay.
See what day of the week that was.
December 5th. 1945 day. Wednesday.
It was a Wednesday.
So it was a hump day.
So it wasn't a weekend.
What a weekend.
And like I said, it wasn't early in the morning either. It was early afternoon. So.
I wonder what they were.
Maybe he just was. Maybe
wonder what they were doing Tuesday.
I don't know. Another weird thing too that they kind of said later on was that apparently they had like a rescue frequency on their ZBX receivers, like on their plane.
Yeah.
And this, if these had been on in any of the planes, then that would have kind of helped them go toward the radio towers, so they would have been, they would have known which direction to go. Mm-hmm. But none of the pilots turned them on, even though they were actually told to turn them on, but none of them were on. So I'm not really sure why none of them turned those on, because that might have saved their lives.
Weird.
But none of those were on either. Even though
I don't think they were. I just got a feeling they weren't at the top of their game that day.
Yeah, obviously. It's just, I don't know. It's so weird. It's so weird how presumably they had done training exercises like this before, right? So I do kind of feel like, I don't know. I've never flown a plane in 1945.
Yeah.
So it just seems like... It seemed like it would be really easy. Hey, just go here, drop the bombs, turn this way, turn back that way, you're home. Why would you think that you were over the Keys suddenly?
Because the flight commander said so.
Yeah.
The flight commander was fucking spooked, and it was said so. And they must have said, well, he must know what he's talking about, because I don't know where the hell I am. I haven't really been paying attention. It was that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And they're going like, we're over the fucking Keys? And then
how did that happen?
I think that's what it was. These are all young guys. And that dude is in charge. So they're kind of giving deference to him. They're like, how do we get over the Keys? And then the other guy's going like, well, maybe we are over the Keys. You know, it's shit like that.
Yeah.
And another guy's going, no, I don't think so. I don't think that's possible. And some dudes might have been basically sleeping through it. Like, fuck it, I don't give a shit where we are.
Yeah, it's like, it's just this bullshit
I don't give a shit where we are. I'm just going to fly.
I don't give a shit where we are.
Yeah, there was some of that shit that was going on, too.
Which, that seems a little... I mean, like I said, you're in an airplane over the Atlantic Ocean. I'm sure as shit going to be worried about where the hell I am.
Yeah, you might have had dudes, you know what I mean, are like, well, it's on him. I don't give a fuck. If I crash
I'm not in charge of this shit.
Yeah, I'm not in charge of this shit. If I crash this bitch, it's his fault. Wake me up when this shit's over.
Oh, man. I don't know, like I said.
Yeah, these are dudes, of course.
And
also,
dudes are dumb. They just kind of like...
It's also 1945.
True.
And you're dealing with guys that are in their 20s. So, yeah, hell yeah. Fucking right. I mean, this is a whole different era. I mean, you had 21-year-old dudes flying fucking B-24 Liberators over Japan, burning it to a crisp. Okay?
Yeah.
Dropping fire on people's children while they're fucking in bed. Burning fucking Dresden down. And these guys are in their early 20s. These fucking super expensive bombers. And there was lots of them. Because that was the mentality of the time. Of course, put a 24-year-old in charge of a fucking bomber. We gotta get this shit done, you know? Think of that. That wouldn't happen today.
Yeah.
You know? You don't put a 24-year-old dude in a fucking Raptor.
Well, you don't put a 24-year-old dude in charge of anything.
They just don't do that very much anymore, you know what I mean?
Because now we know that 24-year-old dudes are idiots.
Yeah, and they're like, drop that atomic bomb on that fucking city over there. You know, the dude's fucking 24. But they did that.
No offense to 24.
But they did that shit. They did that shit in the fucking 40s.
They didn't really think about it all that much, I guess.
Well, you were an adult at fucking like probably 17 in those days, you know? Fucking...
Yeah.
So, just the way it was.
Interestingly...
You didn't live long back then anyway.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Interestingly, this guy... Listen to this shit. This kind of creeps me out. So, in 1991... there was a bunch of people that were looking for, like, you know, sunken pirate ships and treasure and shit like that. And they found 5 World War II era Avengers in the water off Fort Lauderdale. So everybody thought, hey, there they are. We found Flight 19. Guess what? That wasn't them. Yeah. It was a totally different... There's like the fucking... The serial numbers were not the same as the one of Flight 19 of the Lost Patrol. So isn't that fucking crazy? But like, no, these are 5 other planes that fucking off of Fort Lauderdale. But so this ended up being 6 planes lost because there was 5 planes in the original thing, and then one of the planes blew up, looking for them. 27 dudes. 27 dudes. And they have not found a single trace of the planes.
All 27 of them.
Or the people. None of the 27 people. Who fucking knows
where they wrote that shit off. They just wrote it off.
Well, yeah.
That was back in the days where you could write some shit off. You're like, yeah, we lost all these airplanes, but we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna write that off.
Well, what else can you do? I mean, Scott says 24-year-old dudes shouldn't be in charge of a Starbucks.
Yeah. They're going 24, 34, 54. It was...
Yeah, it's like, I'm not real sure,
time.
I'm not real sure 34 or 44-year-old dudes should be in charge of anything either.
It was just another time.
It kills me. It kills me when I think about... I mean, I know people matured faster back then, probably, because, you know, the world was a very different place.
And you just didn't live long. Yeah.
Well, and it was just kind of like once you were... 18 years old, I mean, a lot of people had already like gotten married and fucking started
Well,
having kids and shit like that.
here's the thing. In the 40s, there was a concept of a teenager. They had a little bit of a teenager culture. It wasn't much. But you have to understand what was going on decades before that, in the 1800s. You put 6-year-old kids to work in factories and fucking made them bitches fucking dig coal.
Yep.
You know, there was no such thing as childhood.
Yeah, once you were like old enough to walk around,
If you could talk, then you could work.
Yeah.
And they put your ass to fucking work right away. So they didn't really have.
Why wait? You know.
Yeah, they didn't have concept of childhood. So, of course, during the Second World War, you're gonna put a fucking 23-year-old dude inside of a fucking B-17, with a crew of dudes in their fucking very early 20s, and then take thousands of them bitches and fucking fly them over Germany and Japan and drop fire on people. You know, it's just what you did. Wasn't anything unusual about that.
No.
No.
Well, that's what everyone was doing.
That's what everybody was doing. Yeah. Then they came back, fucking tore the place up, fucking drinking themselves to death, and fucking having fun, watching football games. Yeah. All this NFL and all this fucking big shit that you guys are all into about fucking sports ball and everything. I was never really a big fan of sports ball. Gave two shits about it. That was a corporate fucking response to the Second World War. That shit did not happen until dudes came back from Second World War.
They're like, we need some
We need some shit to see.
that's sort of combat like
a
that
combat
people
like
can
shit.
watch. Sure.
And the corporate powers fucking did everything they could to pump money in these gigantic fucking stadiums. Half of them gone. Go look at that shit on YouTube. I'm an old man now. I'm looking at this shit on YouTube. These gigantic stadiums like fucking that are in all these different states that are all abandoned and were torn down. I'm like, that fucking doesn't exist anymore. When I was a kid, I remembered those fucking stadiums. They're all gone. Or a lot of them are gone. Why? You couldn't fill them. They couldn't make money with those things because people started watching sports on TV. And now you can't get people to watch sports. And I understand it. You know what I mean? Fucking because Jenny's the same way. We grew up watching our dads sitting that fucking lazy ass down on the couch.
Dads and grandpas.
Dads and grandpas.
And uncles.
World War II bitches and Vietnam War motherfuckers sitting down on the couch watching fucking sports ball, watching black dudes beat the fucking brains out of each other on fucking
My dad
television.
was more into NASCAR.
Yeah, that
actually.
just everything, you know what I mean?
But he watched
and they would
football,
just
too.
like, oh yeah, and I was just, and I would look at that shit. Just the sound of those games would drive me fucking crazy.
Yeah, it wasn't.
All that, wah, wah, and I was like, man, that shit fucking sucks. And I just thought they were fucking just lame games, and that's why that shit's vanishing. It's a cultural thing. It was a fucking generational thing. And if you look at the fucking white dudes that fucking look at sports ball, those guys are the guys that could never play that game. They're these little fucking overweight, balding motherfuckers that, yeah, my blacks are stronger than your blacks. That's really fucking what they were doing. That's how fucking.
I mean, it's like anything else. It's
I'm
just like a
what
tribal.
What the fuck is this shit?
You like to be able to be like, this is my team, and we're gonna whip your team's ass.
Yeah,
it's a thing.
In Mississippi, it was literally, my blacks are stronger than your blacks. Because there weren't any white people on those teams.
Dan says people only watch NASCAR for the wrecks, don't they?
Yeah.
I kind of feel like
Yeah.
I mean, you know. Do you remember, because I grew up in Daytona Beach, which obviously, if you don't know, is like a humongous fucking NASCAR hub, because that's where the Daytona International Speedway is, where a lot of the major races are. And I still remember when fucking Dale Earnhardt bought it on one of those weekends. He was like one of the most famous ones. And he fucking died at that one race. He's like hit a wall and like fucking... And I remember it was like a really weird... It was really weird because I feel like people were like, yeah, a wreck. And then he's like, oh, he died. Now we kind of have to feel bad. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
And it was just like a really weird, like... It was a weird time.
I hated all that shit.
Yeah, I did too.
I hated all that shit. Growing up in the 80s, watching the way the people of that time responded to those fucking games, to me, it just looked racist as shit. It just did. Sorry, T. That shit looked racist as fuck. Just based on the fact of fucking what white people were saying about it. You know, and I wanted nothing to do with that shit. And they got people that still love those sports, but not me. That's not how I interpreted them. I mean, didn't you feel that way?
Yeah, a little bit. I think I
Yeah.
just kind of like, I don't know, just, I guess sports was never all that interesting to me because I was kind of more into punk rock and
I thought they were racist.
horror stories and stuff.
I
They
thought
kind
they
of,
were racist.
yeah, they were actually.
It was basically white people betting on fucking black gladiators. That's really what it was.
Yeah, it did have that aspect
It's
to it.
very much so.
I mean, not so much, like I said, you know, my dad was more into NASCAR, and that was mostly, like, white dudes watching other, like,
Yeah.
even more rednecky white dudes, like, just, like, driving around in a circle. But, because, you know.
No, I'd go to this fucking Super Bowl things. I wouldn't say it's
But
so
Super
much my
Bowl,
dad.
yeah.
It wasn't so much my dad thing. It was all my dad's friends. And you used to get fucking 15, 20 fucking white dudes in a big old fucking party with all these fucking barbecues and shit, and they're watching the fucking Super Bowl. And, you know, this is back in the fucking early 80s to mid 80s. That shit, if fucking right, that shit was racist. It was just it's a bunch of white dudes betting on black gladiators. Whose blacks were stronger than other people's blacks. And just fucking, no, man, I didn't like that shit at all. It just gave a bad taste in my mouth. And that shit's kind of going away. I mean, fucking NFL and NBA and all that. It's being replaced by fucking video games, really. Those fucking those video game sports. And some people say, oh, that's fucking terrible because, you know, you have black people making a living off of that. I can understand that. Yeah, black people making a living off of it. But fucking, you had Germans and fucking Goths fucking making a living off of being gladiators inside the Roman arena, too. All right? But that didn't mean it was good. I just didn't think any of that shit was good.
Scott's talking about NASCAR being my hillbilly is faster than your
Yeah,
hillbilly.
my hillbilly, exactly.
That's what that was.
At least it was machine oriented, and the same hillbilly that crashed that car was the same hillbilly that burnt to a crisp. And it was the same hillbillies up there fucking it. NASCAR didn't have the racist element to it.
I mean, every now and then, like, one of the tires would come
Yeah.
off and, like, slice into the crowd and kill
Yeah.
a bunch of people, you know. That would happen.
Yeah.
I had like, seriously, the fucking Daytona International Speedway was, like, a couple of miles from my house.
Yeah.
So, whenever they had a big race, you know, the fucking traffic was fucked.
Yeah.
You couldn't go anywhere. It was really kind of a nightmare. So that's why I'm just real thing. I don't like the whole redneck thing. I don't like the whole hillbilly thing because I grew up in Daytona and it's just like I'm so over it. You know? Like I said, I was a horror kid. I
hated all those
I was a
sports.
punk rock new wave kid. Those kids were beating my ass when I was little, you know, making fun of me. So it's like I'm not into it. I'm not, you know, you can keep your mullet, you can keep your country music, you can keep all that shit. The food's good. That's all.
Xanada said that the attitude that I saw was a Southern thing. It may have been back in the days.
Yeah.
He said they didn't have that in the South. The Southern interpretation of professional sports was different from the Northern interpretation. It probably was. But I don't know. You start stripping away the lies that people tell themselves, it may have been the same thing. To me, it was all like gladiatorial sports.
The only sports I actually used to like to watch were like the winter sports, like fucking ice skating and what is that called? Like the fucking where they all get in that little tiny thing and go through all the what is that?
Yeah.
Not toboggan. What the fuck is that called?
Fucking, I don't know what that shit is.
I like all the winter Olympics. I like that because we didn't have winter in Florida, so it was neat like seeing all the fucking skiing and shit.
Xanada, the fucking sports I was talking about was mostly fucking
Bobsled, thank you.
Yeah, bobsled. The sports I was talking about was mostly fucking football. Football was the biggest one that fucking to me was like gladiatorial fucking sports. Boxing to a certain amount. Never liked basketball at all. I always thought basketball was just ridiculous. Most of that shit to me it was just fucking ridiculous. I couldn't stand the sound of it. You know what I mean? Like,
The thing that always pissed me off about football, and I feel like a lot of Europeans, you know, who are more into soccer will say this too. It's like football, especially American football, like when you see it on TV, honestly, it stops like every couple of minutes.
Especially towards the end of the game.
And then they just like play commercials and shit like that. It just seemed like the games took for fucking ever and like nothing happened. And it was just kind of like, you know, it's like my dad would be watching it and I'd just be like, is anything like happening, or are they just gonna stop every minute and then like have commercials? Because I just
Well, I remember in the
Holy crap.
70s. Remember in the
So
70s
boring.
and the early 80s, though, the fucking football was a lot more violent than it ended up being later. So I can understand why they liked it. And also that they were betting on it. So that had a lot to do with it, too, was how much money you had bet on it. I thought all that shit, I think all that shit's fucking out of date. I just think it's all outmoded. I mean, the future is what they call esports, I think.
yeah, people watching other people
Esports.
play video games.
Yeah. Well, evidently they got guys. They got guys fucking playing esports, making more than what you would call professional football players. They're making more than that, and that's fucking amazing to me.
Yeah.
That a dude fucking makes more than a fucking pro ball player just playing fucking video games.
Mark says, I like watching grown men punch each other's titties.
So, is there anything more to say about this fucking case?
I don't think so. We actually got to the end of it,
Got
like,
to
in a
the end of it,
reasonable
right.
amount of time, even though you did kind of go off and, like, talk about different stuff. But that's okay. It's only, here in Florida, it's only 8:19 p.m., which means I have more than an hour before I have to do the other show. And I'm still sober, which is good.
Yeah.
You know.
Let's see what else is going on. They're talking
Straw
about
Dog
hockey.
says, used to love roller derby.
Yeah, there
I
are.
could watch roller derby.
I liked fucking fake wrestling. All right. What I'm into now, what I'll watch, I'll wake up in the morning, I'll fucking drink coffee and I'll watch it on YouTube, is something called Stardom. And Stardom is a Japanese YouTube channel with a bunch of these little Japanese girls that go in there. Well, they're not all Japanese. Some of them are one of them is part Italian and another one is a fucking Australian girls. And they'll go in there and they'll do pro wrestling, kind of like Fighting with My Family. They'll do that. And it's obviously fake. It's cute as shit because it's cute as shit. It's these little fucking teddy bear shaped fucking Japanese girls that have got to be fucking 4'11" in these fucking frilly fucking outfits, pretending to fight each other, and then pretending to be tired and like I got my ass whipped, and fucking it's just cute as shit. And they got the shit edited, so it's only like 15 or 20 minutes at a time. So it's not like you're watching a whole hour of it. You know what I mean? You just see little things. Some of them speak English and some of them don't. It's just called Stardom. And I like that better because...
Yeah, he's always watching that when I go in there.
Yeah, Stardom.
He sits there. We have here's the bed, and then like there's a little bench at the end, and he's just sitting there with his little coffee cup in the morning.
Watching.
Watching.
Because every day
Japanese
they'll post
girls wrestle each other.
Yeah, every day they'll post like 2 or 3 of them.
It's so funny.
Sometimes they'll have subtitles so you know what they're saying, but you really don't need the subtitles because you know it's all bullshit. They're like fucking, I'm gonna just defeat you the next time. Next time I see you.
Are they shit talking one another?
Oh, they're shit talking. You know,
I love it.
Sometimes in the fucking in the captions it's a little bit better than you imagined it, but it's like watching roller derby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do like I do like
derby.
roller derby.
Yeah.
I like to watch girls beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah. But what makes Stardom so great is that nobody gets hurt because it's girls pretending to beat the shit out of you.
Yeah, well, that's like any kind of wrestling. It's like you do have to know how to do it. So
it's an art
people,
form.
It is, so people don't actually get hurt. There are like
Yeah.
safety measures in place and
It
stuff.
takes you right back to when you're a kid. You watch an Ultraman or fucking Godzilla. They just don't have they just have a different costume on.
Yeah.
But that's what they're doing. and they're fucking so short. You know what I mean? They're not big, muscular, or anything
Michael
like that.
Schaefer just said Tom likes them because they're the same height as he is.
No, I'm taller than them by far. No.
Man,
I don't even think
that was harsh.
Most of them I don't even think are 5 feet tall. They're more like fucking 4'11".
That's pretty. That's even shorter than me, and I'm pretty fucking short.
Yeah, they're tiny.
I'm only.
Until you
about
go to
5'2".
Korea or Japan or anything like that, you see how small a lot of them are. They're very small. They're very small.
Yeah.
And they got the little fucking cute outfits with the fucking little frilly skirt and a fucking some kind of headdress with maybe cat ears
I was
or
gonna
some
say.
stupid shit or horns. And you can definitely tell the good guys from the bad guys.
Yeah.
Because the good guys are always some kind of a cutesy motif, and the bad guys are always some kind of like heavy metal type or gothic looking motif.
I love it.
You know what I mean? So it's obvious who's who, and they're doing it they're tag teaming in teams and shit, and it's got good music and whatever. You know what I mean? And it's not meant to be taken.
The internet
seriously.
is a magical place.
Internet's a magical place.
You can find pretty much anything you want.
Yeah, and it's not meant to be taken seriously. Yeah.
That's fucking funny. I'll have to sit down and watch some of that stuff. I do like.
It's cute. Yeah, it's fun.
I do like watching girls beat the shit out of each other. It's more interesting to me than dudes beating the shit out of each other because they're always doing.
Well, they do the same shit they did back in the old WWE. They pretend like they're hitting, and the others go, but you go
oh my
like,
god, oh, you bitch.
Yeah, you're like, bitch, that would have killed her if you actually did that for real. Yeah, it's fun. You'll see it. And then, like, it's the same ones over and over again. There's only, like, maybe 15 of them. So it's always the same ones. And they got...
yeah, it's like Glow, like Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling.
Yeah, and there's evidently a story going on.
Well, yeah, that's what wrestling has.
Yeah.
You have your fucking...
Yeah.
You have your heel, you have your fucking... You know, it's all like a narrative.
Yeah, so you guys want to check that out. It's on YouTube. It's called Stardom.
Stardom. Tila said she found it.
Yeah, Stardom's cute, man. I like Stardom.
Mark Navarro said, I wonder how many times Jenny has walked in on Tom flexing in front of the mirror.
I don't flex in front of mirrors.
More than once.
Oh, well, wait a minute.
Oh, well, wait a minute. Yes, you do.
No, but that's okay. Yeah, but that's not like something I'm doing in private. Jenny's there.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I've been checking
It's not like I walk in on it and he's like embarrassed. He's totally not embarrassed.
I'm not embarrassed, but
he's like, am I bigger?
Did I get bigger than that bitch?
Yeah. Then he's asking me like,
is that angle?
I have to come and like examine it.
And I'm like, how's that angle going? Is that angle coming in? Okay, I gotta get that angle in there.
Yeah, he's always asking me stuff.
Yeah.
Wait, do I look big today? Do I look
sideways,
bigger?
I'm going, is that titty getting bigger?
Yeah.
That shit. Feel that shit. Is it getting bigger? Okay. You wait till I go on fucking
Yeah, see, there's like nothing secret.
No, there's nothing secret about that shit.
No, he doesn't.
Fuck no.
He has no shame.
No.
Neither do I, really.
No.
So.
I'm trying to fix shit. Trying to work shit out. But
although, see, I think you notice that stuff more than I do because I'm not. It's not like I'm looking at all the angles like every single day. So I don't.
Well, I know what to look for. I look at a man like he's a fucking side of beef, like he's a cow. I'm like, it's him delts. Front double bicep. Turn. Okay. Spin. All right. I'm doing this shit.
Yeah.
Vacuum pose. Dude, you're weak. You suck. So, you know what I mean?
Straw Dog 78 says, Jenny, how's my symmetry? Yeah, that's right. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
He's always asking.
Yeah.
It's not just that. It's like...
You wait till I get on that fucking
Does my hair look fucked up? Does my hair look like...
Yeah. Well, I'm always cutting my hair and shit. I'm getting her to cut it and stuff.
Yeah,
so
I gotta cut it.
Is that shit right there right?
I gotta cut the back. He does the sides.
Yeah.
Because he can't really see the back.
But the fucking no, man, you guys are fucking. You got me wrong. I'm not fucking embarrassed or shy about any of this shit. It's part of my fucking repertoire. It's the normal thing that I do. You wait till I fucking get on that fucking exogenous testosterone. I'm gonna fucking go like.
You're gonna be just rampaging all over this fucking show.
No. We're gonna be shooting fucking porn. I get on that shit. We're gonna be fucking shooting porn again.
We're gonna have to start a whole new channel.
Because I'm gonna be going. You can start a whole new channel. I'm gonna go back to like. I would like the test level of fucking 5 14-year-olds.
5 of them.
Yeah, 5 of them combined. Nah, that's not what I'm gonna do.
Can you imagine the smell?
Oh. Be like a stinky skunk, man, and all that fucking hormones.
I have 2 brothers. I know the smell of teenage
skunk.
Boys.
Fucking yeah, that's a bit. I don't think I'm gonna go that. I'm gonna get my blood work done, and I'm gonna see exactly what the levels are, and we're gonna see what I'm gonna do, and I don't think I'm gonna push it up into superhuman levels, but I'm gonna put that shit into human levels, young human levels.
A young human.
Yeah, because you guys don't know. Maybe you guys don't know what I'm talking about. Some of these dudes, if you looked at their fucking blood results, they are at superhuman levels. Yeah. And you see, I'm not ravaged by fucking drug use or fucking... I haven't used bunches of fucking, anabolics and stuff. So my liver's in good condition. I could go crazy. I'm fucking in good enough condition where I could go fucking crazy with this shit if I want to. Because I don't have a history of abuse of it. But I don't want to do that. I want it to be more just fucking normal levels. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As far as I know right now. I'm going to see how good it feels.
Although it would kind of be funny to see you like walking around the show like that gorilla video we watched sometimes.
Yeah, that
like,
fucking gorilla when that gorilla thought he was all fucking sexy and shit and fucking flirting. Did you guys know that male gorillas flirt?
They do.
And they flirt with girls.
I've seen it happen.
Hell yeah, they do.
What's that one we watch? It's 24 hours, I guess. It's kind of like a camera that's on these gorillas that are in this enclosure at whatever zoo it is. And it's like fascinating to watch them. But I did like a long time ago, I was at Animal Kingdom here in Orlando. And they have a big gorilla enclosure. Yeah. And I swear to God, man, the gorilla there, one of them, the big male. Yeah. He was very, like, when enough people would gather around, like, the window, like, looking at him, he went to the back of the enclosure and laid down like this. He was like, ladies.
Yeah.
And he was, like, laying like that with his hand up on his hip. It was so fucking funny.
Testosterone's a hell of a drug.
I mean, he was very clearly being like, drink me in, girls. Here
well, they got a gorilla in fucking Japan. You can see him on YouTube where these Japanese girls fucking just love this fucking
they're so cute
young male gorilla. He's about fucking 15, 16, 17. And there were all these Japanese girls taking pictures and waving to him, and he's drinking this shit in.
He's like
just basking in the love of all this these Japanese girls who just fucking love this stuff. And there was another video that just thought the shit was just a trip. They got a little white girl fucking with little short shorts and her little fucking sandals on, and she's got fucking gorgeous legs, and she's got her fucking tablet, and she's showing this young male gorilla. He's just fucking puffed up and shit. And he's looking at the fucking tablet, and every time she turns the tablet away, he's like, change it. He wants to see another picture.
Yeah, let me
and
see some more pictures.
And he's just sitting there looking at her legs. And I'm going, I feel you, bro. Because she was cute. She was real cute. But it's a universal thing. Like
they are so human-like.
They're very human. And
which is probably why they shouldn't be in captivity.
No, testosterone is a fucking hell of a fucking thing. He's just sitting there just looking at her going, God, she's cute. And it's funny because it's trans species, but I guess it doesn't matter.
Close enough.
I guess they know what cute is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've said too, and we've seen video too of like some people will bring in like tablets or phones with pictures of gorillas,
other gorillas
on them,
and stuff.
or like other kind of apes.
Yeah.
And if you show him to the thing, like he gets it. He's kind of like, oh, that's nice. It's like then he moves his little finger,
moves his fingers like next one.
Move it to the next one. Let's see what the next one looks like.
Yeah.
See, they're not dumb.
They're
like
not
I
dumb
said,
at all.
No.
It's a different kind of intelligence. But I think they're 84% or 86% genetically identical to humans.
96%.
Is it 96?
At least.
Okay. They're real close.
Oh, yeah.
They're not human, but they're real close.
And you can tell, like, in their facial expressions, the way they...
Yeah.
I mean, that one that we watch sometimes, it's kind of like it's a big silverback male, and then there's, like, a little baby one.
Yeah.
And the way they play and stuff like that is just like a dad and a kid. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You can tell exactly what they're thinking. You can tell exactly what their little facial expressions are. You can tell all that kind of stuff. Yeah. It's just super, super funny.
All right, so when is your next show?
In an hour and a half.
We're going to go ahead and shut this one down so you can get
better. I got to get ready for the next show.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sober, which is good. And we have to go check on where Feeky went to.
Trans-species relationships are the next frontier. Yeah, they need to get motherfuckers out there demonstrating for that shit. Release those gorillas. The women are hungry. Fucking funny shit.
Gorillas are pretty cute, I gotta say.
Yeah. Fucking Sophie goes, is it bestiality if the gorilla is instigating? Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. It is. It's you can see it there on YouTube. I mean, the girl's probably about 17, I would say, probably. And she's got little short shorts on, little fucking sandals, and a little fucking t-shirt on. She's stretched out in front of the fucking window. And as a man, I know when a girl's trying to fucking look cute. She is trying to look cute, right? This gorilla is fucking responding. And he's a young gorilla. Probably only a little bit younger than her, maybe the same age. And he's looking at her tablet, but every time she changes, he goes down and looks at her legs. And it's going, and then he looks back at and she looks back at her again. She's going, God, she's cute. Fucking, you know, they're human-like animal.
They are.
You know?
Well, like I said, they're very, very genetically similar.
Yeah.
Tila asked if it was a live show. Yeah, as far as I know, it's a live show. And I think it's 2 hours, so I'm going to have to be on from 10 to midnight. And I'm going to be talking about some unsolved murders. So that'll be fun. Hopefully.
Yeah. Fucking, they're fucking with me about shit. Says Tom. Michael says Tom's going to get back knee. Now, you only get back knee from anabolics. You know what back knee is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, back acne.
Yeah,
fucking, you start fucking with anabolics, you'll get a real greasy kind of sweat that comes out of you like you're going through puberty. It's like a second puberty, a bunch of acne and shit. But like I said, I don't want to go on anabolics. I wouldn't mind going on fucking test, but I'm not going to go on anabolics. Now, if I ever did go on anabolics, I would do it Jack LaLanne style. In other words, when I'm starting to approach my 60s, if I were to able to get a hold of them legally, I'm just going to say if I was able to legally get a hold of anabolics, I would maybe consider fucking very mild cycles of it as I was working out and see how it went. Because the anabolic compounds, they're testosterone mimickers. They are very close to testosterone. The body recognizes them as testosterone, but they're a lot better. They're a lot better at healing, muscle building, and rebuilding damage. The average person just walking around doesn't really fucking know what is up. They just hear things in the media. They don't really know what drugs are for. They don't know how they work. And a lot of doctors, even, you'll find out, don't really know how that kind of stuff works. And they have kind of, what do you call it? Stereotypes about how that stuff works. There's proof that, or evidence coming from human testing. In other words, guys who fucking used these things, not officially, but used them, that anabolics, as you're fucking aging, can help fight off some of the fucking real bad effects of aging. See, if you look at people as they age, a lot of people will hold out. They age pretty well until they get to be mid-60s, around 70, around that time. And all of a sudden, boom, they just drop off. That looks like a hormonal crash. Like the body isn't producing the amount of hormones that it normally would in order to keep a fucking healthy reproductive type body. And here's the weird thing. We see health. When we see health, a lot of times what we're seeing is we're seeing the effects of... we're seeing the signals of a person who's reproductive. Okay? A person that can have children. To us, that looks attractive. When you get to a certain age, your body starts saying, well, I guess it's because of fucking evolution. The human body says, well, being reproductive is biologically or metabolically expensive. And at this point in our subject's life, he's already reproduced. So let's go ahead and shift resources away from reproduction, and we'll shift it more towards life and just protecting the brain or something. Whether or not you actually need that to happen in the body, I don't think that's really known. But it seems to be that before that shift happens, if you introduce things like anabolics and new kinds of hormones, that shift away never really happens. So the person seems to continue on normally. Yeah, they age. But they don't really look that aged. They still look attractive. And, that's evident in the people that have done it, Like I said, look at Toni Basil. I guarantee you she's still on estrogen. And she's very active. And where do you get estrogen? You can fucking get it the same way from fucking like you can from a fucking TRT clinic. They'll give it to women too. It's just a birth control pill with estrogen in it. That's all it is. The right dose. And it'll keep you younger looking. We all die, but technology can help you age out a lot better. And if the technology's there, why not use it? I mean, wouldn't you think? Why not?
Sure.
Sure. I mean, the human body is just a living machine, and we've been fixing machines forever. Eventually, when the technology is good enough, you probably could defy death. We're doing it already. You're just not realizing it. Because just anything that is medical that helps you live longer is life extension. And we're living longer and better than humans have ever lived because of this technology. Eventually, you'll be able to counter a lot of the effects of aging. Now, let's be honest, people. Will these rich motherfuckers allow the average motherfucker access to this? No, they're trying to reduce the population. So they're not going to tell you everything about this. Are they doing it? Yeah, they're doing it. They're doing it. So it behooves you to find all this stuff out and figure out whether or not you want to spend money on this. And but eventually, for right now, it looks like things like hormone replacement and anabolics done properly with the right training schedule. It's never going to be one of these kind of things where you just sit around and do nothing and take a pill and it fixes you. You'll never have that. You have to stimulate muscle growth and rebuilding through weights, or maybe weights the best. If not that, you're always going to have fucking aerobics too. Aerobics will help. But shit, we got to end this show, and I'm just keep talking about health. I'm asking questions, but
I know, because I'm like, you keep on going. I'm like, it's getting
well,
later
they're
and
talking
later.
too. They're talking.
I got
too.
stuff I got to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have to go to the bathroom. We have to find out where little Pookie went to. But yeah, so we will be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. EST, probably talking about Oculus, the Mike Flanagan movie, because we just watched it recently. And that's still new enough to be a matinee show, because I think that came out in 2013 or something. So we'll probably talk about that. And if it's not that late where you are, then head on over into, I don't know how they want you to pronounce it, into the para B normal? Into the para B normal, like that. There's a B in the middle. Okay, so I'm going to be on there at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I think for 2 hours. And I'm going to be talking about unsolved murders, like that were in my Faceless Villain book. And so that'll be from 10 to midnight. And I'm pretty sure it's a live show, so I got to do that in a little while. So we will see you guys again tomorrow. Remember, like, share, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff. Go to our Patreon page. You guys know. So you done? You sure?
They're asking me, say, Tom, what about the fucking the liver damage with the amount of booze that you're drinking mixed in with all these fucking compounds? No, we don't drink as much as you guys think we do. Fucking twice a week maybe, and it's not really that much. But also you have to understand that I have not lived a life of abuse. So, no, fucking, I've seen my liver fucking numbers from the last time I had blood work done a year ago or so. My liver's fucking fantastic. You compare my liver to fucking Billy Idol, and it's like comparing a fucking liver of a baby to a fucking zombie. Okay.
Sure.
So I'm nothing as bad as those guys with the fucking shit that they were doing.
Well, yeah, some of the guys back then, I'm like amazed they're still alive. Honestly.
Yeah, they were taking fucking cocaine, fucking booze, and heroin, and all this other shit. So no, I'm fucking wide open. I'm in good enough shape to do anything. I can do anything I want.
Yeah. It'll be cool.
It'll be alright. Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll see you guys again tomorrow.
Yeah.
And thanks everybody for dropping by and hanging out with us. And so that's it, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, just making sure. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.